Greetings. I hope all is well. Hope today's Monday. Today is Monday and it is already July 25th. Guys, we're almost into August, meaning we are 4 months away to 2023. Where has the year gone? Where have these days gone? The days are just going by too fast, y'all. The days are going by too fast. And somebody told me once you get older, time and the days are just going to go by faster. But everyone, I hope all is well. Hope your new day is going well. Hope your Monday is going well. Hope your afternoon, morning, evening, wherever you're at, hope is going well. Do me a favor, guys. Take your finger, a finger, doesn't matter what finger, and hit that like button. Make sure you share. Make sure you subscribe. Again, if you're new to the content, if you are new to the content, hit that subscription bell. Again, do me a favor and hit that subscription bell. Couple of announcements before we jump into the subject at hand. Tours, we are rolling. Again, we are rolling to Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone, November 20th through December 3rd. November 20th through December 3rd. We are rolling to Sierra Leone. If you are interested in joining us, make sure you go to Danfo, 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 DANFO .Africa. We would love to have you join us again. We would love to have you join us again. Please visit Danfo, DANFO .Africa. We would love to see you, and it would be an honor for you guys to join us. It would be an honor for you guys to join us. So make sure you do that. What else do we got going on? What else do we have going on? Nigeria, we are still rolling to Nigeria next week. No, not next week, but in a couple weeks. August 8th. We leave August 8th. August 8th through the 17th, we are rolling to Nigeria. And if you are interested in joining, make sure you go to Danfo, 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 DANFO .Africa. Again, please visit Danfo, DANFO .Africa. Then as far as the gear, people are always asking, Dynas, where do you get your gear from? Where do you get your gear from? Visit Ileamir, ILEAMIR.com, Ileamir.com, and grab all of your gear. Again, everyone grab all of your gear. Visit Ileamir.com. Everyone visit Ileamir.com. In about 30 minutes, around 30 minutes, I will put the link in the chat room. Again, in about 30 minutes, I will put the link in the chat room for people to call in. If you want to add to the conversation, we will love for you to add to the conversation. We will love to hear input. And guys, documentary is going to be released this week. Again, a documentary will be released this week. So make sure you keep your eyes, ears open, all that good stuff. Pay attention, stay plugged in, stay connected, all that good stuff, because the documentary is going to drop this week. Finally is going to drop, y'all. Is going to drop. So this is not true. There's more Nigerian. Hold on. We'll jump into that here in a second. But there's more Nigerian doctors in LA than Nigeria. There's more Ghanaian doctors in New York than in Ghana. That's a problem. That's a problem. That is a problem. And guys, let me always give this disclaimer when it comes to topics like this, because they can be kind of touchy. All right. I believe that really any immigrants, whether African, Asian, whatever, but since we're focused on Africa, the continent of Africa, when it comes to Africa, listen, I believe that immigrants who come to America should develop the skills. Again, should develop the skills and then go back and develop their respective countries. Again, I believe that Black immigrants who come to America, who go to the UK, pretty much who go to the West, should develop the skills, all right, then go back and use those skills to develop their countries. In fact, in this book right here, I just happen to have it. Shout out to Tyree Wright. This is Booker T. Washington in Africa, the making of a Pan-Africanist. He had what is called the Tuskegee Method. It's either the Tuskegee Method or the Tuskegee Rule. Pretty much, he would invite individuals from the continent of Africa to come to Tuskegee under the okay. He would allow Africans to come to Tuskegee. All right, but under the conditions, again, under the condition that once they developed the skills, they learned the skills that Booker T. Washington taught them while at Tuskegee, they would go back to their countries in Africa and develop their countries. Again, shout out to Tyreen Wright. This is a great book. Booker T. Washington in Africa, the making of a Pan-Africanist. The Tuskegee Method. This is an excellent book, you guys. I would highly recommend you guys buy this book. The Tuskegee Method. Africans come to Tuskegee, learn the skills under the condition that once you have learned the skills, developed the skills, you take those skills back and go and develop your countries. All right. I think that's a great idea. Don't see why there's an issue. Because again, when we talk about brain drain, it's associated with Africa. Now, from my understanding, India is starting to experience some brain drain. But at the same time, India, they control and dominate a specific industry, IT, and they got nuclear weapons. I'm not sure. I don't, guys, I want somebody to explain to me, family. Again, my family, my immigrant family. I want you to explain to me how coming to America, going to Harvard, being successful here in America, how that has translated into success or a win for your countries back home. Somebody says Africans are building up the U.S. and Europe while Africa suffers. Hey, listen, come on. Let's talk about it. Yeah, bum rush the border. Because I'm tired of seeing stuff like this. Hold on. I'm just tired of seeing stuff like this. Hold on one second. Let me pull this up. Hold on one second, guys. Like I'm tired of seeing stuff like this. There's no need for this. In 2023, in the global economy, it's just we got to stop seeing this. We got to stop seeing this. Has to stop. What I'm about to show you, this has to stop. Okay, in 2023, this has to stop. I'm trying to figure out what is my immigrant family. What is not just my immigrant family, the Black diaspora as a whole. What are we really doing when we come to the West and we brag about how we got all, in the words of Kala, we got all these degrees. You know, what are we really doing? And listen, I got a couple of people, immigrant family, African immigrant family, who came to America, got the skills, went back to Africa, and they're doing great work. But we still have a long way to go. Here we go. Like I mean, this is just not acceptable. This is unacceptable. This is not acceptable. We can't be bum rushing other people's borders trying to get out of Africa. Meanwhile, we got our African family in the West bragging how they successful in the West. Listen, here we go. Black immigrants are the only group, by large and far, that boast about their success in a foreign country versus success in their home countries. You don't hear this from any other group of immigrants. You don't hear from the Chinese. You don't hear from the Japanese. You don't even hear from the Hispanics. Black immigrants brag the most about how successful they are in a foreign country than they do their own home countries. You don't hear that from anybody else. You don't hear any other group of immigrants bragging, running around, bragging about the amount of degrees, how successful they are in a foreign country. You don't hear other groups of people do that, just Black immigrants. Meanwhile, this is going on. Hold on.
Yo ayer, primero, me solidaricé y reivindiqué el extraordinario trabajo que están haciendo las fuerzas y cuerpos de seguridad del Estado en nuestro país. Algunas de ellas, personas, guardias civiles, que fueron heridas como consecuencia de este asalto violento, y quiero además volver a repetir esa calificación, violento y organizado por parte de mafias que trafican con seres humanos a una ciudad que es, bueno, territorio español. Por tanto, fue un ataque a la integridad territorial de nuestro país, de una manera violenta.
The action of these last hours, it's a consequence, direct consequence of the agreement reached recently among governments of Morocco and Spain. So basically the externalization of migration without taking into consideration human rights and the life of these people relies also on the back of the Spanish government as well.
And again, I'm very aware that these weren't Nigerians, these weren't Ghanaians, that these were Sudanese. But you had a situation in the Sahel of Nigerians being sold into slavery in Libya. So it still goes on. It still goes on. So guys, do me a favor, hit that like button. Let me get into this article real quick. Hold on, let me get into this article real quick. Give me 1 second. Oh, let me get into this article. No, that was Moroccan border, I guess. Hold on, here we go. All right, there are more Ghanaian doctors in New York than in Ghana. Here we go. U.S.-based plastic surgeon Michael Obing. There are more Ghanaian physicians in New York City in America than there are in Ghana. Renowned U.S.-based plastic surgeon Dr. Michael Obing has said According to him, medical practitioners feel comfortable working abroad because they receive better care in regards for their work there than they do in Ghana. Speaking of Francis Aban on the Morning Star Thursday, Dr. Obeng said it is important doctors are given better attention by the state. There are more Ghanaian doctors in New York than in Ghana, and these statistics are astonishing. We need to take care of our doctors so they don't leave. We don't take healthcare seriously. Dr. Obeng also said even though strides have been made in the healthcare system in Ghana, there is much to be done to make Ghana's healthcare system considered one of the best. I think Ghana's healthcare is still in its infancy. The healthcare hasn't progressed a lot. It hasn't progressed in over the 30 years that I left. Wow. But we have made strides. In 2011, we went to Tamale to do a donation, and it was heartbreaking to hear that a whole regional hospital didn't have a mammography and dialysis machines. Dr. Obeng told host Francis Aban, adding, with some of the things I've seen, I think there's still a lot to be done in our healthcare system. Light skin keeps sweat. Most Africans I meet say they're never back because it's too much corruption. Here we go. In 2000, okay, here we go. I think there is still a lot to be done in our healthcare system. Dr. Obeng is an American plastic surgeon who currently practices in Beverly Hills, California, and is affiliated with the Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. He's making bank. That's where all the rich folks die. Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. That's where all the rich folks die. That's where Biggie died. That's where Nipsey Hussle died. Obeng is I think Heavy D passed away there. Obeng is the director of Miko Plastic Surgery and Miko Surgery Center in Beverly Hills. Before assuming this position, he was the chief of plastic surgery at St. Elizabeth Boardman Health Center in Ohio, where he has started the plastic surgery program. Hold on one second. Let's see here. Guys, do me a favor, hit the like button. If you have not hit that like button, hit the like button, you guys. Here we go. Here we go. All right, there are more Ghanaian doctors in New York City than in the entire country of Ghana. There are more Nigerian doctors in LA than the entire country of Nigeria. What Africa needs is capacity, and that capacity is in the diaspora. Ambassador Erikana Chihombori Kwa, ex-AU ambassador to the U.S. So, yeah. So, guys, let's talk about it. Here we go. Links in the chat room. Link is in the chat room. Link is in the chat room. If you want to call in and add to the conversation, you are more than welcome to call in and add to the conversation. Somebody said, look at Evercare Hospital in Lekki Phase 1. Nigerian can fix their healthcare system. Okay, but what about the other hospitals in Nigeria? I've been to a couple medical facilities. I've been to a couple medical facilities myself in Nigeria. So let's see here. Let me stop the screen. Go ahead, Chrissy.
Yes, hi, and hi to everyone in the chat. Um, it's a valid question, but one thing I, I'm not from I'm from Jamaica, right? So my people are from Jamaica. So I'm not from Africa, but Africa to Caribbean, we have a lot in common. And people say, why come here? Don't go back home. We talk about the government, the corruption. It's taken lightly. Um, what I want for all of those who have this sentiment, go to Africa, go to the Caribbean, put aside your US passport, put aside the US dollar, which gives you an advantage, and I want you to live like the people who live there. I want you to get sick, and I want you to go to the hospital and wait in the waiting rooms like the people who live there, and die in the waiting rooms like the people who live there. I can tell you when it comes to Jamaican doctors, they're about 2 steps away from a nervous breakdown. And I'm sure the same thing has happened for a lot of doctors from Africa and so forth. They don't have the resources they need to do their job. They're overburdened with patients. They're working double and triple shifts. They don't get enough money to make ends meet. So after a while, it's just there's nowhere to turn. There's money that's supposed to be allocated to the medical sector, but all of a sudden the money disappears. They don't have, as you said, a dialysis machine. There are certain things in a society a government is supposed to take care of to ensure that the society can function, to ensure that there is a way for people to be able to move forward and do the things that they have to do. When it comes to places like, and I heard part of this conversation yesterday, China or India, whatever, the government said to the Chinese diaspora, because there was a time they were facing brain drain, come back home and help build China. They made a pathway for those who left to come back, to invest, to be successful, to settle, and to stabilize themselves. I could tell you in the Caribbean, I'm sure in Africa is the same thing. That thing is not there. So it's easy to be in a country where you have the US dollar, because everybody said, oh, it's so easy. I want you to go Jamaica and live on the Jamaican dollar and get a job, a regular job. And I want you to tell me how you're going to move and shake the system. It's not that easy. People are leaving because sometimes they are at their wits' end. It's not that we don't love where we come from. It's not that we're not proud. It's not that we don't want to build back up home. But when your back is against the wall, and they just like you run out, you just feel like there's nothing else you can do. Now what we do is send money back home. I could tell you with Jamaica, remittances, the money people send back home, makes up 20% of the Jamaican GDP. 20%. Okay, I'm sure African countries have the same thing going on. Could we do more? Maybe. I think what we lack is organization, to say, okay, now we have these funds, instead of sending it directly to family, or let's top it off and try to fund something. There's probably something else that can go on. But it's not that just people are fleeing, or people just running away, or people just don't care, or they're selfish. There's so many more layers to it. And it's easy to sit in a seat of privilege where you have a US passport and you work with the US dollar. No matter where you go in the world, you're an American, right? And there's a level of privilege that come with that. And to tell people who don't have those same privileges, that they should move a certain way, where you don't fully understand what is going into why they felt they've had no choice but to leave, because none of us really want to leave where we come
But
from.
I think the argument from I would say ADOS or FBA would be like, we weren't just given these privileges; we have to fight for them.
The privilege to what the you weren't just given which privilege?
Just in general, because I'll give you a prime example. My grandmother had a twin,
Mm-hmm.
and the twin passed away. My mother saying, like, before integration,
Mm-hmm.
uh, there was no Black people. We didn't have access to decent health care here in America.
Right.
So, I think the argument that a lot of FBA ADS will say, well, we were just given Black Americans came here off the boat, and off the slave ships, and were just given all these privileges, is something that, a lot of FBA ADOS have to fight for.
Mm-hmm.
So what would be your argument towards that?
Okay. And to the question, I've been home in 8 years. I'm planning to go back very soon. I have family all over. I don't like to give out my too much personal business online. I have family all over. All right. And I'm from country, an area in country. That's all I'm going to say on that. But I do know I have people who are medical professionals. I have people who are teachers and so forth. I keep very connected and keep my ears to the ground as much as possible as what's going on in Jamaica. Now, for people who say Black Americans had to fight for that, yes, you had to fight for access to a system that was already built, right? It's a different scenario where there's a system already built and you're trying to enter a system that is already built to get access to it versus where you're in a country where there's no system built, where you can't get access to something that's not built. In the United States, the US government created infrastructure that they shut Black people out of that infrastructure they were creating. But they created infrastructure and networks and frameworks where things work. You call the systems where you call 911, EMT show up, they do their procedure on you, they send you, they airlift you. They already had those things in place. You were just trying to get access to that was already built. It's a different narrative than being in a country where those things are not in place. You get a rare opportunity to get educated as a doctor, as a nurse, but the powers that be are not using the resources and the tax dollars that they have at their disposal to create those same systems. Instead, they're filling their pockets with them. So you end up working double and triple shift. You end up where there's one stethoscope at the university. You end up where kids are sharing books. You end up in a situation where there's strained resources. It's a different narrative. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Jamaica was gained its independence when, in the 60s, 70s?
62.
Okay. And what you're saying, so 62, that's 50, no, that's 62, 60 years, 60 years.
Mm-hmm.
So in 60 years, Jamaica hasn't been able to build any worthwhile infrastructure or. I'm just trying to figure out the difference between like Jamaica, Nigeria, and say Singapore or Vietnam, a country that was bombed to smithereens. Like I just still don't get.
I think the difference is the interest. Like for instance, if you take a country like Jamaica versus Bahamas or Barbados. Bahamas and Barbados is doing way better than Jamaica is. They have infrastructures. After independence, they focused very heavily on educating their populations, right? The poor class, which was the majority, these are people who did field work, who did country work, agriculturists and all that kind of stuff. They focused very heavily on education. They created pathways. Okay, once you go to school or, certain level of schooling is free, you go to university, we want you to get a job in this sector and that sector. They invested in their people. Jamaica did not do the same. Jamaica is a very classist society. The classism is almost like a caste system. How India have a caste system, it's the same thing. So you have the masses who are in a caste system, who don't have the same access to education. So they are not really in a position to be a mover and shaker. The people who are in a position to move and shake are doing reckless things with the resources that are available to them, like filling their pockets. So instead of the country's resources going towards things like infrastructure, the country's resources are being mismanaged and going only God knows where. That is why things that should be in place are not in place. There are hospitals all around. The first Prime Minister, Michael Manley, ensured that there were hospitals all in every parish, and then the next Siaga, then the next leadership that came in did not focus on that. They started to take funding away. We talk about take funding away from those hospitals. Those hospitals crumbled. Some of them closed, right? So people have less access to medical care. There's money for infrastructure to make sure that there are roads in rural areas. They still don't have roads in rural areas. That's what I'm saying. When you're looking at a government is very important because government ensures that infrastructure is working so that when you leave your house and you drive on the road, you don't hit in a pothole. You got me?
No, I understand. Mr. Falua, go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Hey, greetings, Dinans, Chrissy, everyone in the chat. um, so when I saw the question, I kind of looked at it both ways. I am a Pan Africanist. I believe that we should be building in Africa. We should bridge the gap between us. I also do agree with Chrissy. Um, the opportunity has to be there. I don't know how Jamaica is, the infrastructure is like over there, but I have been to numerous African countries on the western part as well as the eastern part. I don't, I, I'm, I do agree with you that a lot of African professionals that gain the education experience here should invest back into the country. However, the opportunity does have to be there. But I do see it as a win for Black Americans that's already over here in the United States. For example, growing up, I had, as a child, I had a black pediatrician, and it was very hard. Like my parents wanted me to have a black doctor. It was very hard to find a black pediatrician. It was very hard to find a black doctor. Um, my dad, he had his doctor was from Cote d'Ivoire, and so I feel like over the years, you saw the increase of African professionals coming over here, becoming doctors, becoming nurses, or whatever. And back then, compared to now, a lot of us, I can't speak for all of Black America, but a lot of us, we wanted Black medical professionals. It helped increase, you know, the I say it helped increase the medical staff of Black professions. You were able to see more to request a Black doctor than you were back then. So I feel like it was kind of a win for us in that department. Yes, I don't like the brain drain thing that's going on. I do want to see Africa win, but at the same time, I want to see all of us win. But it has to be an opportunity there for them to win as well. And I feel like it's no different than where a lot of our ancestors, especially Black American, that had ancestors from the South that was trying to seek a better opportunity up north. And they actually them doing the Great Migration from the South to the Midwest and to the North, and they getting these factory jobs. They working these jobs, and they getting a better pay, and they're increasing pay up north, and they have less BS to deal with down south. It actually helped them become entrepreneurs. Like for example, I'm from Detroit, and a lot of our first generation, second generation ancestors that came up from the South, they started working in the auto plants. They started buying up houses and property all throughout the city. They not only flourished financially, but they also became entrepreneurs. They had houses, they had huge houses, they had land, they had own stores. For example, Barry Gordy's family, they not only before Hitsville, before Motown was created, his family had owned a store on Farnsworth, on the east side or whatever. A lot of them had owned a lot of stores and everything. So you were going to a Black owned grocery store. You was going to a Black pharmacy facility. It kind of pretty much doubled the Black ownership and entrepreneurship in the city. So I'm not trying to stay on here long or whatever, but I just see it also as a win because you have more, even though you have the influx of African immigrants coming in the medical field, you also have your pickings like, okay, it's easier for me to get a Black doctor if I want to get a Black doctor and get seen by one. Just like how it was back then, it's easy for me to go to a Black-owned grocery store, pharmacy facility, or whatever, and I don't have to just have to sit back and I have to, it's hard for me to pick or whatever. I feel like it's more of an opportunity there. That's all. I'm gonna just leave with that.
Okay. Black Line, go ahead, Black Line.
Hey, thank you very much. How you guys doing? Chrissy and Mr. and Ife had some very good points, very good perspectives. on their discussion thing. But the problem is that I think a lot of us don't want to address another elephant in the room. Like a lot of it, there's an element, and a lot of it has to do with white acceptance and self-hatred. I'll start from an example. My father's straight from Nigeria. He became a teacher. He got his master's degree. He became a teacher, doing well, doing making good money. But even my mom asked him a couple of times, "Why don't you go to Nigeria and start creating your own schools, or start teaching the younger generation?" He refused. He went to Nigeria back to Nigeria for vacations. He didn't talk about building, not that from my knowledge. He didn't talk about going back and want to create schools, institutions where it is easier and more affordable for people in Nigeria. He didn't want nothing to do with it. And one thing I noticed from my father and a lot of Nigerians and Africans or people of African diasporans who come to America, the one thing they don't like to talk about is the thing that they'll talk about is they get sucked into the American lifestyle. So when they come for opportunities, yes, that's true. Or come here because the system sucks. Yes, that's also very true. But when they get sucked into American lifestyle and that American money, they pretty much forget all about the situation that's going on in their countries. Why? Because the thing is, yes, you can get access to resources now to a certain extent. You get highly educated now, but once they get set to American lifestyle and what the opportunities they get, they forget about it because it's easy. So like Chris was right, it is easier to a certain extent. It is better, more efficient. But the problem is that in the long term, it's a very dangerous thing for your nation because that's one thing I give respect to Booker T, Marcus Garvey, and Frederick Douglass. They said they said education and self-determination. If you're not going to build your nation in any country or nation and the nation's eyes, you look as a traitor because you're dead. Because the thing is, like you're going there to be white. You're going there to build their nation. You're creating there. You pretty much abandon us for your own personal needs and selfish goals. That's what China saw, and that's why China created visas, saying, and especially in with India, when they have their visas. They said, listen, you're only allowed to come here until you finish your college, get your degree, and finish your medical school, law school, whatever, and you come back to the nation. They had to forcibly limit them because they saw how the American lifestyle that they're so in love with can get them sucked in and forget them and really can destroy and really forget their own. That's one. And the thing is, like I said, a lot of us don't want to admit it, but we're still won't be accepted by white people. A lot of Africans, regardless of the Caribbean or the continent or America, we still won't be accepted by white people. Because we think the white life is still great. We think the white life is heaven. And we're not willing to leave that. That's the sad part, especially when she talked about Chris out of Jamaica. Man, that's what's sad. Like Jamaica was the backbone of self-determination, thanks to Marcus Garvey. And a lot of us forgot that spirit. Because the one thing we're not talking about is we're not fighting anymore. There is corruption in every country. But the thing is, with Africans or Caribbeans or Africans in America, we don't fight anymore. We don't like you said, get the tools we need. Get properly educated, get the unity, and at the same time, go back to your nation, see what we can do about it. We don't fight anymore. We run away. Like Chrissy talked about how we, like African Americans, they got they were trying to get into institutions of the medical school and also get the medical care. Yes, that's true. But we still have to fight. They won't allow us to be educated at all. We still have to fight. And that's the problem in Jamaica or Africa or in America to this day. We don't fight anymore. We either run away. And we don't hate it enough to change the reality. Like back in the old days when Garvey, Booker T, and Frederick Douglass, they hated their reality to the point they're willing to change it. We don't hate it enough. At the same time, we're not strong enough to really do anything about it. So the more we leave, the nation's gonna fall. Like look at Sri Lanka right now. Sri Lanka's down there is a shithole. Because like Chris mentioned about the class system. Yeah, look what happened over there. That's what happens when a nation falls. Because they were so dependent on a one damn leader who damn near left the country and never came back. We forgot self-determination. We forgot how to build our own. And also we don't talk about we're too self-hating and so desperate for white acceptance that we are destroying our own nation and we don't want to admit that. We play a part. Black people, people of African descent or regardless, we play a part in black ignorance and black destruction. That's just the harsh truth right there. We play a role in it. We hate the reality we're in, but we don't hate it enough to change it. And the same time, it's like what? And the thing is, like what the hell are we waiting for? Is some magical fairy or some magical being, some type of God to help you fix your issues? No. And that's one thing we don't like to talk about. we play tribute to African self-destruction because the sad part is when like we brought the Booker T book, Dynast, when you read them, it's like they didn't have half the resources or half the knowledge that we have today. But what made them so popular and so powerful? They say, fuck this, we're gonna build our own. We're gonna have to do for ourselves, regardless of where we're at, regardless of where we're from. Because if the politicians can't help you, or the white community or any other nation's not gonna help you, who's gonna help you? Yourself. We don't hate it enough. And unless we're like I said, unless we're sick and tired of this suckish reality, we're not gonna change it. And that's one thing we need to talk about, because if we really were serious, if we really were desperate and hungry enough and determined to fix these issues, then this wouldn't be much of a problem. But a lot of like the Ghanaians and Nigerians, like from my experience, especially since I'm related to, since my father's one of them, they're too sucked into this lifestyle. And the only time Africans are like a lot of people in the diaspora, I mean, from the continent, want to go back to the countries or want to consider going back or building, is either the younger generation or when the older generation are treated like shit by white people, no different than African Americans, and then they want to go back to their nations. It's the only way we're put that. And the sad part is that's why I'm grateful for Woody Maya, at least what he's doing. He's showing how the younger generation of Africans from America, the UK, or the Caribbean, or the continent are going back to the nations and fixing the issues that the elders ran away from. Because we have a culture of running away. We don't have a culture of fighting and independence and unity anymore. And that's something that's never discussed. And that's something that needs to be pushed. That's why a lot of Black African people, regardless in America, the Caribbean, and everything, we lost respect for the elders because we don't see them fight anymore. We see them run. We see them cower away. We don't say, let's build. Or we don't see them saying, build your own, let's do this. We don't see that anymore. That era died. And now that's what we're in the state we're in. Like, it's kind of sad. Like, I'll make this point, I'll be done. Because it's kind of sad how in 2022, we play a huge role in our own self-destruction. But back when our ancestors, back in Garvey's days, Forever Doug and Booker T. Washington, back in 1800s, 1900s, they had nothing. And they became the most smartest, educated, and most creative builders damn near the countries. We were highly respected. We had nothing. So what's our excuse now today? How the problem is different from back then, different from now? What are we missing, or what are we not doing to solve these issues? That's the real question we need to ask ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Chrissy. I think you want to ask something. Then we'll pass the gas to him up. Go ahead, Chrissy.
Oh no, he was saying about, the young people are going back. And depending on where you're from, yeah, you can go back. But I would say that the elders who left did make a pathway for you to go back, because you have the leverage of one, you being an American, right? Even though that is your nation of origin, the U.S. dollar, the U.S. passport, the access to resources that you can pull from both countries. Just being in the room and having an accent and people looking. There are opportunities that came out of the elders leaving that you now have the ability, depending on where you're from and the safety situation, to go and come. That's all I'm saying. So they did something. They weren't just, being cowardly and running away, so. That's it, but I have to go either way. I'm sorry, you wanted to say something?
No. Kyla was waiting, but he fell off. So go ahead, gas him up.
Okay, I have to go. Thanks.
Okay.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, perfect. No, I mean, Black Lion hit a lot of great points, man. Black Lion said a lot of great points. I think for me, though, what we have to take into context, is that, Black Lion definitely touched on the psychological issue that's at hand. We can read Fanon to talk about how, the mind of a colonized people and that self-hatred that comes with that. However, I do think the geopolitics is the one big part that we're not acknowledging. And the fact is that none of these countries, whether they're in the Caribbean or they're in Africa, none of the leadership or the structures that are in power serve the people, right? So, you can go back to Nigeria with all your great ideas. I'll give you a perfect example. 2019, I was in Nigeria, and we were trying to set up an app company. So, you know, I got everything set up, had the app developed, everything. And we were going to utilize it with the Okadas and like Uber model as well, because Gokada was already there. So those from Nigeria know about Gokada. And then all of a sudden, because the the taxi drivers unions, they're powerful. They're in the pockets of, top, as we say in Nigeria, alayes and all that shit. These guys are all the mafia dons, right? Basically like the equivalent of a bunch of J Princes all over Lagos and stuff. The Lagos state government literally got rid of them, right? They said in order to operate, you have to have this ridiculous amount of money. They basically got rid of Gokada. The founder of Gokada was actually murdered in the U.S. May he rest in peace. But, these guys who, they put all this money in Nigeria and, only to have the government pull the rug from under you. And so the fact of the matter is that to a large degree, we don't want to acknowledge that these African so-called countries don't exist for the Africans. They're not held accountable. I say it all the time. If you look at the independence document that Nigeria received, it doesn't have the word independence on it. It says to continue the Queen's dominion. So the Awolowas, the Zeeks, these were all lawyers. These were highly educated men who signed these documents. You're signing a document that says you're free and it doesn't have the word independence on it. It should tell you the mentality and what we're dealing with in Africa today. So, I agree. There is a self-hatred. There is a deep psychological issue in terms of proximity to whiteness that we have to contend with. But I would love to hear from you guys and from people in the chat room. How do you fight the IMF? How do you fight the World Bank? How do you deal with your sellout leaders? Because people have fought. There have been resistance. A lot of people have died. If you look at the university strikes that have gone on, a lot of people have given their lives to these things. It's not like Africans are just sitting down there, twiddling their fingers. People have been murdered. You can check out Ken Saro-Wiwa, right? And I'm not, getting into that. But people have fought and resisted as best as they can. But there's strong organized efforts outside of Africa that have strongholds and they're intruding on the day-to-day, life of an African. And so to now say that African or these people are running, I think that's, that's not fair, right? That's not a fair assessment, because that's like someone saying, hey, how come black people can't stop the police from shooting them? Well, obviously the police are a well-funded, quasi-military entity. So I don't expect the average African American, no matter how many guns you have, to be able to stand up to well-funded, well-trained, mobilized police units. That wouldn't be a fair assessment. So I'm just, I'll sum it up with that. Like, how do you deal with, IMF policies? We've read the books, right? Confessions of an Economic Hitman. So you got these hitmen that are coming out that are, as soon as they get to Nigeria, they get access to your governor. They get access to your local government chairman. They get access to your president, to your minister. Dynasts do not necessarily can't get access to those people. So how do you contend with that? And guess what? The people in power. I'm almost done, brother. I'm almost done. I'm almost done, brother. I'm almost done. And guess what? The people in power don't want to meet you, right? Because guess what? You're going to try to say, hey, let's put some accountability in the system. They thrive on the instability. They thrive on not having accountability in the system, right? So you look at the Nigerian elections that are upcoming. You really think that you're going to have a free and fair election? Come on, man. Let's not kid ourselves. We know what's going to happen. You understand what I'm saying? The mafia bosses are going to sit down and they're going to figure it out, or they're going to shoot some guns and everybody's going to have a handshake and a wink, and that's what's going to happen. We know that's what's going to happen. So how do you tell those people on the ground, yo, go stand up to this, go stand up to that? And I'll end with this. In the 1980s, because the sister said Jamaica got independence in 62. Nigeria, I believe, was 60, but they became a republic in 61 or 63, I believe. Don't quote me on that. You didn't see Africans in mass fleeing their countries. This en masse movement of Africans leaving their continent and Caribbeans leaving their continent started after the IMF policies were put in place and World Bank policies were put in place, chiefly being the structural adjustment programs. No one talks about that. We say nothing as to how those programs decimated the African middle class. In Lagos, you had clubs all over Nigeria. Fela Kuti, Sunny Ade, Ebenezer Obey. So many guys were selling hundreds of thousands of records in Nigeria alone throughout West Africa alone, making money, touring all over West Africa. You had a thriving music scene. No one talks about that. So when did all this go to crap? It started in the 1980s when the middle class was destroyed with structural adjustment programs. So I'll end with that, but I'd love to hear your question, brother.
I mean, if Nigeria is so bad, how comes you just finished the biggest university hospital in Africa?
I never said Nigeria is so bad. I don't understand the premise of your question.
All I hear from Nigerians, yeah, and especially Nigerians, all complain how how it's so bad, This,
But I never said that.
It's all excuses, man. It's all excuses, really.
But brother, I never said that. But brother, I never said that. So are you addressing what I said?
If you go back to what you were saying, it sounds like you might as well say,
Yeah.
The reason why we're all living in drones is because of this, because of that, because of this, because of that. Yeah, that's how it sounds like. The reality.
Okay, so come tonight. Listen, so okay.
If obviously the Nigerian taxpayer is educating their citizens, they spending money, making sure you're actually going to university. When you finish uni, you're just jumping in a plane and leaving the country. Yeah, what's going to happen? That's what they did. They took all the.
Have you been to Nigeria?
Africa. No, but I'm just saying. I'm just giving an example, right?
No, I get. You see, this is what I'm saying, brother.
I've been to Nigeria. I've been to the
okay,
north. Yeah.
Okay, you've been to the north. What I'm trying to express to you, brother, is that look, it's easy for the armchair quarterbacking over here. Like the sister Chrissy was saying, come down to Nigeria and live like the locals. When I'm in Nigeria, I tell Dynast all the time. I'll try to run into him when he comes down. When I'm in Nigeria, I'm not in Lekki, chilling out with the fancy people. I'm in the hoods. I'm on the bikes. I'm taking the damn phones. Right now in Nigeria, Dynast, you've been on the Okada, right? You've been on those motorbikes, right?
Of course.
Okay, guess what, Dynast? Lagos state government banned the Okadas. I mean, they still moving. Shout out to all the Okada drivers. They still try their best to make money, but the Lagos state government banned them.
They had technically banned the KKs too, but I still catch the KKs.
Yeah, but
this is what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying? So, brother, wait, brother. Yeah, but this is what I'm trying to tell you. They're not held accountable by the people. And when the people try to resist, these people, remember, they keep them poor, they keep them unhealthy, they keep them uneducated. So when the people try to resist, this is what they're going to face. They're going to send some thugs and some shooters, shoot up 5 people, an old lady gets shot, this person gets shot. Now, how do you resist? So it's left for people like you. Hold on, bro, I'm end with this. Okay, so good. So I'm going to tell you to take the medicine. Please come down to Nigeria, start the organizations, and start fighting against these top level allies, and let's see how long you last.
Well, it's all right saying. I rather listen, right? It's all right saying all that, but all I'm saying is, Anyway, going back to what Chrissy was saying, also, I live in Bristol, right? When Bristol was highly populated by the Jamaicans, there was more movement. Like more black movement, take back our right, fight for our right. We got the Bristol bus boycott. We had Martin Luther King coming down here, Malcolm X coming down here back in the days. That movement carries on. But you know what? The fact is, over the years, the more African brothers that we had over here in Bristol, less power the black people actually have, the less movement of the black movement actually in the city. All the black people that come from Africa that moved to Bristol, they're all yes man. Yeah, the Jamaicans were the one that was standing up for the black people and say, you know what? No, I'm not taking this. I'm not doing this. Especially the Rastafarians, because you got the Christian Jamaican and the Rastafarians. They got totally two different mindset. But then you got the African brothers, because when I moved down here, the Jamaicans never liked Africans. That was a big issue anyway. Yeah, I asked them, because I grew up with them. I'm like, why? How could you hate your own brother so much? Because they don't, even in their nightclubs or in their own areas, they don't want African coming over. Because I grew up with them. Yeah, they see me like one of theirs. But then I start reasoning with the guys, and they start showing me the reason why they got problem with African brothers, because the thing that they do not tolerate. Yeah, as black people, the African brothers will tolerate that from the white man. So over the years, the white man thinking, hang on a minute, so you Jamaicans are the one that is actually the problems. The Africans are all right with it. We can call them niggas, we can, treat them how we want to treat them. We can, you know what I mean? No, yeah? And they're all right with it. So over the years, they start sidelining the Jamaicans and they start siding with the Africans. The mindset, brother.
Okay.
Mindset. You come down here, yeah, and even at the workplace, it's the same mentality.
No, for sure. Go ahead, Larry. I'll meet yourself.
Hi, Ernest. I just came on in regards to the question about what's happening with health and the doctors in Nigeria. I don't know if you'd allow me. I wanted to play a video. It's just a short video. It comes straight from a doctor in Nigeria
Okay, go ahead.
discussing this very issue. So I'll just share my
Okay.
screen.
We didn't have the materials we needed to work with, so you would see people die from preventable diseases.
Nigerian doctor Chimezie Ibe recalls the poor state of Nigeria's health system. When he got an offer to work in Britain 2 months ago, he took it.
I left because I got frustrated. I worked in a place where I worked in an environment where for the first 4 months of my employment, I was owed. And in these 4 months, I had bills to pay, I had responsibilities to meet up to, I had to be at work every day.
Dr. Ibe is among the some 2,000 doctors Nigeria loses every year to better paying jobs abroad, according to the country's National Medical Association. Countries such as Britain, the United States, Saudi Arabia, and Canada are prime destinations. The association says poor funding, frequent strikes, overpay, and unfavorable government policies for the health sector are to blame for the medical brain drain. Money is not the only factor driving health professionals abroad, as Nigerian optometrist Ifeanyi Ugenyi explains.
I want to practice in an environment where I have basically all diagnostic tools at my disposal.
Payment disputes between the government and medical practitioners have continued for years and led to strikes, the latest being the National Association of Resident Doctors strike, which was suspended early this month, more than 2 months after it began. Nigeria's Medical Association blames the migration from Nigeria's falling doctor-to-patient ratio. But some doctors like Blessing Okubo refuse to leave.
Which I have had several opportunities to work abroad, but I still chose to strengthen my country and strengthen the health sector.
This month, Nigerian authorities promised to increase pay in a bid to retain physicians. But medical expert Ejike Orji says a broader approach is needed to ensure Nigerian doctors stay.
But our healthcare system is so broken that we need a lot of resources. And we need a lot of transparency and accountability to make use of even the little that we want to put in it.
Until then, thousands of Nigerian health professionals will continue trying.
Larry, remember during the COVID,
And that was the information. So in case people didn't hear it, to summarize, they were talking about funding. One of the doctors, the first doctor we saw, hadn't been paid for a number of months. So even though he's working, he's not receiving pay. Another thing that was mentioned was that the funding is so low for the hospitals that the doctors don't even have the tools to do the work that they need to do. So a combination of not being paid, tools leads them to go on strikes, which affects, of course, patients as well. But as we saw, there was a doctor who chose to stay in Nigeria regardless of these problems. But these are the things that I've learned from these doctors that lead to the strikes. They don't get paid, and then there's a lack of resources, tools, and the funding from the government seems to have decreased, or the government, for whatever reason, has refused to honor its pledge. I don't know why they've done that. So that's why I thought I should play it, so we could hear it straight from the horse's mouth.
That was an excellent video, Larry. Excellent. Was that you in the background speaking?
When?
The video was that like your news channel thing? I know I'm sounding like terrible, right? Like every British person has the same British accent. Don't be upset with me.
No,
It's like every black
no,
person looks alike. That wasn't you though, right? Okay.
no, that was not me. No. So thanks, but that's why I thought I should just.
Nah, yeah, you got that broadcasting voice. You got that like dope broadcasting voice.
Thanks. I just wanted people to know, because I don't know whether people have already mentioned it or not. So I just thought let people hear what these doctors have to say, so they'll have a better idea of what's going on.
Dennis, you got to let Larry narrate your next documentary.
Yeah, he does have that voice. Yeah, we'll wrap. Moochie, go ahead, Moochie.
Hey, Dennis, how you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Hey. So I just want to make a few comments. So, by and large, I agree a lot with what Gastepam. I don't know how to say. No. So sorry. What I was talking about. Some of the issues around corruption and all that. And then the other part I wanted to kind of comment on is that I think he talked about the economic structural adjustment programs, right? So it's not so much that the programs were bad, but them just by themselves. But if you look at a lot of the countries that ended up getting the structural adjustment programs, at the beginning of independence, they were doing well, right? They were doing well, and then the corruption started setting in, and they couldn't balance the budgets because a lot of social spending and then corruption and all that. And then the structural adjustment programs came in pretty much to try and tighten up the fiscal policies, right? So it's kind of like it's two-edged sword. So it's not really like the programs were bad by themselves, because you didn't see the IMF or the World Bank. You don't see them going to say Denmark or Sweden to say, hey, we need to help you with your economy and stuff like that, right? So they only go there. They only came in with those programs because the government, most of the time, the governments were like kind of like having bad. I mean, they just didn't have the money to finance their budgets, right? Now, the other piece I want to kind of talk about, the brother Gastepam was saying, the Jamaicans in England, they are more like vocal, and that's
I never said that.
It wasn't.
That was Al.
Maybe it's Al. Sorry, Gastepam. I think it's Al was talking about how the Jamaicans were like kind of like pressing for social justice and things like that, right? I acknowledge that, probably true, but at the same time, you can't just think in total that Africans are docile, because we fought liberation struggles in Africa, right? So what you have to acknowledge is that a lot of these Africans, by the time they get to England and the US and all these places, right, they're kind of fed up with fighting the authority, right, or trying to change things from within. So when they go there, their primary objective is to make money. As sad as that sounds, is to make money. They're not going to involve themselves for the most part with, say, in the US with Black Lives Matter movement and all that. It's good. It does benefit every black person. But guess what? Most Africans are just with the mindset that, hey, you know what? I'm going to look at how the rules work, how things are around here, and I'm going to work around that, right? So that means if I know that after midnight, bad things happen, I'm just going to stay in my house. After 10, I'm not going to leave my house. That's a personal choice, right? Hey, if I know that the cops are going to shoot me if I argue with them or run away, I'm just not going to do that. So, it's just a different ways of approaching things. And I don't think I would necessarily say, oh, the Jamaicans, because, they maybe tend to be more vocal. That means, I wouldn't necessarily give too much. It's good, but hey, that's all I gotta say, I guess, for now. Yeah.
All right, go ahead. Go back to Africa. Go ahead.
Hey, what's up, Dynas? What's up, people up there on the panel? I'm listening to the conversation and to answer the question. Everybody got their thoughts and views, and I figure I put my 2 cents in. Is it a win for Nigerians and Ghanaians who go to America and get these jobs? And I'll say this right here, being my wife is a physician, and I take quite a bit of interest in seeing how the professions of the medical field are doing in each country that I go to. One, the curiosity is to see what they are getting paid. Two, what are those areas or countries that may afford me proper health care that I feel is deemed me. And to my amazement, in interviewing doctors, interviewing nurses, it's really mind blowing on the little amount of money that these professions are getting paid. Those that you would think that were so important to take care of the health of a nation could be totally ignored by antiquated machinery or facilities, and having the lack of education to provide what we would call a modern day healthcare. You know, to just today, I was talking to a gentleman whose wife is a nurse here in South Africa in Durban. And I asked, I said, how much does a nurse make? And he said, well, you know, give or take, whatever, about, he gave it in rands, but I did the math on it, and it's $1,600 that a nurse gets paid a month. And I'm like, God, dog. In Ghana, a doctor gets paid about $1,600 to $800 a month. And like the brother showed in the video, that it's something about the west of Africa. And then I know some people are going to be like, oh, you're talking about my region, that people go without pay for months in, and it blows my mind. My own brother, my family, they're in Ghana. I mean, talk about this all the time. How can you go without getting paid? And you are part of the government or part of a business institution, a company that they decided not going to pay you. School teachers that goes months in without getting paid. This blows my mind. And then when you see that doctors can go into America and start off at high $100,000 to $200,000, depending on their specialties, I don't blame them, especially when you're looking at them being totally ignored in their own countries for the sacrifices that they do for the benefit of the whole. But when you see the leaders of these countries who go to these Western worlds for their medical care, their family members, and then you wonder what, you know, I hear this from the locals say that. Oh yeah, our president goes over here to this country, over there to Europe or UK, and get their medical, they're taken care of, this and that. You wonder what is really going on? Why is it? And it's sad, but I understand why the medical professionals who are going to these Western countries for the dollar, who get paid a gazillion times more than what they get paid in their own country, on time, faithfully every month or twice a month. I get it. And so Africa has to step up the game. And just in closing, let me say this right here. It still blows my mind. I did a video the other day, how countries cannot even put in something as simple to me would be a minimum pay for their employees while they're working for foreign companies who are making millions, if not billions of dollars, that you cannot make it to wherever facility, business, company that you work for, you should be able to enjoy that which you are providing service for. If you're working in a hotel,
Dennis, can I respond when he's done?
Why can't your employees be able to afford to stay a night there? If you're working in a restaurant, why can't your employees afford to buy a plate there? If you're working at a factory, why can't you afford to buy that vehicle or whatever that product is that they're producing? This just blows my mind. And yeah, these are things that definitely needs to be addressed. But there again, too, I hold on to the idea that Africa has only received its freedom in the last 20 to 40 years, 50 years for some. And hopefully in the future that the youth will be able to make that change. Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks,
no problem. Go ahead, gas them up. Go ahead, gas them up.
Yeah, just so to answer the brother's question as to why those countries aren't doing it very quickly, the issue is really the leaders don't care. If you sit down and you talk to the leaders in Abuja or whatever, you know, Accra, you talk to the leaders there, they don't care. And that's just what it is. They're not. They don't care. They're not forced to care. If you have conversations with these, most of them, they'll tell you, everything else. The government is really a means for them to enrich themselves. That's pretty much what it is. Get access to contracts, win favors, and stuff like that. But I just want quickly to point out, I guess, to answer some of the things that he brought up. Mucci said something about the IMF structural adjustment programs aren't so bad. Again, I don't understand. Mucci here, that's your opinion, but when authors, credible authors, are already creating their anecdotal experience with actual facts, saying things like Confessions of an Economic Hitman. You can read an economist like Joseph Stiglitz. You can read a lot of these guys who are telling you that most of these structural adjustment programs were terrible across the board. And at the end of the day, if we're going to match it, when you look at the amount of debt that's owed within the United States, how much the United States as a country owes, or the UK, they have way higher debt levels. I'm always shocked that these Westerners don't take their own medicine. They would never implement structural adjustment programs on themselves, right? Like if you start downgrading American debt, American U.S. treasuries, Americans will lose their minds. The same way the people in Greece almost went berserk, right? They lost it when they got their debt downgraded and structural adjustment programs were implemented on them. Americans would lose their shirts. I don't want to curse on Dynasty's platform, so I think you should look into that. But quickly, the root of the issue, like I said, it goes back to, are these countries even for Africans, right? Are they held accountable for the Africans that are there? And the answer is no. When you think about it, it's called a medical industry in the US or in the UK or wherever. It's a medical industry, which means that it's tied to government spending and government subsidizing.
Exactly.
Right now,
Exactly.
at this stage,
it's to do with lack of private sector in
yes.
Africa.
Well, not just private. It's not just private. It's not just private. It's because in the U.S. Hold on, brother. But wait, hold on. The U.S. Private sector medicine actually does not dominate. It's actually public sector medicine, right? So even like in the UK, there it's still public sector medicine. In Canada, but wait, brother, let me finish my point, and you can respond to me. In the UK, it's public sector. In Canada, it's public sector. Now, there's a great way that they find how to intermix private efforts with public sector subsidizing. They find ways to mix it. So America doesn't do it as the UK does it, or as Canada, or as Malaysia or other countries, but it's still that healthy mix. Or like Japan, it's still that combination between public sector subsidizing and private expenditure. They find a way to create a balance based on their society. African governments for right now, I don't think that they have the tax paying capacity. I said this to 2Niger. I said this on this platform before. They don't have the taxpayers that, and they don't have a robust tax collecting system, which allows them to collect taxes and float treasuries or float bonds that they can mortgage and finance their future and current expenditure the way that we do in the West. No one wants to talk about that. So if Nigeria could raise a 30-year or 10-year or 20-year bond that allowed them to finance what they're doing today, they would gladly do it. But remember, who's rating those bonds? It's still the same Western agencies. That's one thing. And the other part is that I think the solution would be, now we in the West, we get access to healthy living, how to eat right, not eat as much red meat, the Mediterranean diet. We have access to all this information, right? So we need to be informing our brothers in the Caribbean and our brothers and sisters in Africa. Hey, listen, man, you need to change your diet. You need to eat less carbs. You need to do this, whatever. If you want to go paleo, if you want to go whatever diet that's going to work, we need to, as we're on the cutting edge in the West on these things, we need to inform them. Hey, put more fruits in your diet, put more fiber, get more rest. We need to be informing them because, and I'm going to quote Thomas Sowell, there's a distinction between healthcare and medical care. Medical care is totally different. Medical care is you break your leg. Yes, sir.
Let me pass the mic. I just
Okay. Good.
All right, the Peso Man. Go ahead, Peso Man. I'll pass it to Al. Go ahead, Peso Man. Unmute yourself. Peso, unmute yourself, Peso.
Yeah. Go to the other guy, then come back to me if you don't mind.
All right, let me read this super chat. This is from Miss Delta Guy. it's not on the African governments. The Nigerian and Ghanaian doctors need to demand change. The African doctors don't want to go back. They don't build. African doctors in the USA have not built a single medical school. Don't feel sorry for them. Thoughts on that?
Exactly. As I was saying, like, you know, in Ebony states. Oh yeah, sorry, man. Go on.
No. Go ahead. One man went to wherever. You got to unmute yourself. I mean, not unmute yourself. You got to turn off the playback. Go ahead, Al. Go ahead and continue.
Yeah, as I was saying, you know, in Nigeria recently they just finished the biggest university hospital in Africa, and that's happened this year. I kind of wonder how many doctors in the West that saw that, and I thought, you know what, they got all the equipment, they got everything in Africa, in my home country, Nigeria. Should I return back and make a new start? Because a lot of people in Africa that's traveling to Ghana for medical tourism. They call it medical tourism. A lot of people going to India, you know, to do for medical tourism. So it's possible. And in terms of the pay, you know, of the public sector workers, I understand that because that's a very complicated topic. In fact, I was speaking to my cousin in Guinea last week, right? He is one of the top military guys in Guinea, and he got sent to America in Carolina for training. When he came back, they sent him to Mali. He was getting paid. Everything was going right for him. As soon as he get back to Guinea, he started asking for his wages. So there's something in the structure that's not right somewhere down the line. I was trying to drill him down to see.
Hey, out. Like you keep going in and out. Like the volume will go low. Then go ahead, out.
No, yeah. Basically, I said regarding the public sector, my cousin in Guinea, he's one of the top military guys in Guinea. He got sent to America in Carolina for training recently, right? And when he came back, he got sent to Mali, and all this time, getting paid, everything was going right. As soon as he got back to Guinea, you have to request his payment. You have to find out what happened to my paycheck, basically. So there's something structure in especially West Africa that's not right. You know, like the payment system. Maybe they don't have a payment system in place for the public sector workers because you know there's a lot of corruption. Someone could get paid and they claim they haven't got paid, or you know they haven't got paid the right amount of money. There's so many corruption. So there's something down the line, you know, that is causing some of the public sector workers not receiving their paycheck, and I think that's one of the issue here. But medical tourism, definitely, that's Nigeria and Ghana can actually exploit that because there's so many people in West Africa that could go there. In fact, a lot of people go to Senegal and Ghana, you know, from Guinea, Sierra Leone, and all these smaller countries, you know, because it's much more cheaper for them to go there than to fly abroad, you know. So there's money to be made.
Oh, hey, Black Line, you want to say something?
Yeah, like what I was talking about earlier is like it all like I said earlier, beginning of the chat. The thing is like there's going to like I wasn't just talking about not just the Ghanaian Nigerian doctors. Also, I was talking about the leaders and also the Nigerian and the governments too. Because the sad truth is, like for example, France had a horrible caste system. It was so bad, like the French Revolution, when we all taught like in elementary school. It was so horrible. But look, it was the caste system was bad, the economics were bad, the medical staff was bad. To get resources, it was horrible. And the people of France were so fed up, were so tired. These was average everyday people, not even middle class. It's average low-income people. Were so fed up and tired that the entire city then started its own coup d'etat and killed its own leaders. That's what the origin of the guillotine came from. They literally killed and said, no, we can't go through this again. We can't suffer like this again. We shouldn't have to. Because during that horrendous form of famine and disease and economic issues, parents died, elders died, babies were dying because they were malnourished. And that's why I see the parts of the continent, that's where Africa is going to. Because in a way, like I said earlier, it's still going through a form of colonialism. This can be easily avoided because if this Africa was the way it was before colonialism, we will literally be ashamed of ourselves because of the issues that's going on. But look what the route France had to go to just to get the change what it is today. It's damn near what, the Garden of Eden, because of the choice that had to be made. I'm not saying we have to go that route, but if people get pushed to that route to the point, it's going to be inevitable, because a lot of them don't want an easier, better systemic solution. Like, I agree with Mr. Go Back to Africa said. He was absolutely right. Doctors should be more treated respectfully and should get a decent pay and wage. But unless we actually, like I said, unless we don't see the long-term issues of the doctors leaving or the government not submitting and doing what it needs to do, parts of West Africa is going to turn into is going to be destroyed its own destruction. That's all I have to say.
Let's do it. Let's pass it to Peso. Are you ready? Peso. All right. One man went to unmute yourself. The Alafia of oil. Alafia of oil. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Well, is one man went to Mo. It's not that much of a struggle. Are you dyslexic or something?
No, I couldn't see the. First of all, who are you talking to? But I couldn't see your screen there.
No, that was banter. That was banter, by the way. That wasn't a.
That is that the tribalist Nigerian, brother.
Oh goodness me.
Alafia of oil. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Am I on or?
You're on Alafia of oil. Go ahead. You've reincarnated. Go ahead.
Alafia and oil. You have to explain that to me, but that must be some.
He's saying the Alafia of oil. That's what he's saying, man. Go ahead.
Well done. Well, the Alafia, well spotted, by the way. So now you've done a 360 and you're back in my good book. So that is the late Alafia for you, of course, the paramount king of the black race. So that's the just for the benefit of your audience.
What are you talking about, sir?
That'd be the Uni of Ife, by the way.
No, that wouldn't.
Yes, the Oni of Ife.
No, the Oni of Ife is a spiritual leader, not a king. But the Alafia of Oyo is a king. But it's but that's just an aside. I wanted to comment on your topic one, but I was a bit caught off guard by one of the comments by one of your commentators. So I wanted to address that briefly. Just make my contributions to your topic and then just leave. So the Gas Them Up, I think, was the person that I
Gas Them Up. It's Gas Them Up. That's how you say my name.
Yeah, brilliant. Well said. So Gas Them Up. Just all this idea of you introducing dietary education to black people in Africa, I thought that was a bit off the par. That was a bit off mark. That sort of a remark. I mean, we don't eat preservatives. As Dynast will attest, we don't eat preservatives.
I didn't say eat preservatives. That's not what I said, sir. I said the cutting edge of dietary nutrition that is being afforded to people in the West. I didn't say preservative food.
That's about a point, because a lot of this Western food is actually rich in Africa right now.
No,
Western food is rich in Africa.
We're happy to
point. You gotta get the fact right, mate.
Yeah, we are happy to go with what we eat, and we are happy for you to go with whatever dietary enlightenment you.
I don't think you understood what I said, sir. That's not what I said. What I'm saying is, you didn't understand what I said. Let me clarify it. So, for example, in Nigeria, let me speak with your accent since you be Niger guy. Okay, may I talk to you for your language? Maybe you understand. So for Niger now, so listen, my brother, just chill out. For Niger now, if you go any suya joint, you go any nkwobi joint, everybody's eating what? Goat meat, pepper soup, goat head, asu, this one, fufu. All those things are carbohydrates. They are not exercising. They're not eating any fruits, any vegetables. Most of them are not. The highest they get vegetables, they put small effort or bitter leaf in their soup.
All right.
So now, let me finish. So, for example, instead of using all that fufu or gari, they can use oatmeal as a replacement to make the fufu. They can use acha flour. Hold on, brother. In Africa, in Nigeria, my brother, cool down. In Nigeria now, we have. Oh, listen, now I'm telling you what we have. You don't go to market. Me, I go to market. If you go to market now, you have acha. You have acha. Acha is a flour that is low in terms of the glycemic index. So people who have high blood sugar issues can take acha flour. They can take millet. They can take a lot of these things. Nobody's implementing it. That's all I was saying.
All right, brilliant. I think you have made the point, and I think I have understood. But let me, apologies by the way, I've got children in the house, so you might hear that background noise. Let me use the host as an example. When I first came across Dynast channel, which is going back a few years, it was all skin and bones. It was skin and bones when I first came across him. It was only when he went to Nigeria and we fed him up that it looks like now as it looks now. So the Nigerian we will continue to have pounded yam. Continue to have pounded yam for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and we will live forever. So you to your own in America or wherever it is you are, and we to our own in Yoruba land. Because we're long-standing, we're an ancient people, you know, the Yoruba people. We're probably the most ancient of the human race, the Yoruba people. We go long and we go deep and we go in a particular way. So you have your Americanism, whatever that is, and good luck with that, with all your direct dietaries, whatnot, and your preservatives and etc. The E factors that you eat and all this. I don't know. Is it even food? Everything you taste, it tastes like chicken. Because you don't even talk about diets when you let's park that to one side, because that's somewhat rankled me when I heard you saying that. But to that point, more Nigerian and Ghanaian doctors in America than there are in Nigeria and Ghana. So I would want to disagree with that, really. I would say that there are not more Nigerian doctors that are in America than there are in Nigeria. So that is a factual inexactitude, which is a polite way of saying a lie. So that's a factual inexactitude. So you can park that to one side. But the Nigerian doctors in America or in the Western space, they are equally doctors in Nigeria as they are in whichever space that you are in. So that is really the point that I wanted to make, because the Africans, especially the Nigerians, they straddle those two spaces equally, both the diaspora experience for the financial gains and the knowledge, and then remitting that back to the African space for the expansion of business opportunities and the transfer of knowledge. So that's just my little intermission there. As you can hear, a lot of children in the background. So I wanted to be part of this conversation a lot more, but sadly, let me leave it at that point, just to make that point. But what brought me in is some of that acerbic remark towards pounded yam. I mean, don't diss pounded yam. Do anything, but don't diss pounded yam. So that's just the thing.
Okay.
Thank you, Daniel.
All right, Peso Man, unmute yourself, Peso Man.
Yeah.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Hear you fine. Go ahead.
Okay. Cool. Let me just say this, and I'm gonna hop off. One of the reasons why probably a lot of the doctors that go over to the U.S. don't want to come back is because of the incompetence in these African countries in reference to doctors. If you start going to these countries and you start not visiting, not touring there, but actually staying and living in some of these places and having to go to some of these medical facilities, you'll quickly find out the incompetence in these African countries. There are a lot of incompetent people walking around in Africa. A lot.
Okay. Africa's Future. Go ahead, Africa's Future. Unmute yourself. Guys, do me a favor. Hit the like button. Please hit that like button. If you're in the chat and if you have not hit the like button, do me a favor and hit the like button. I appreciate everyone who super chatted so far. Thank you so much for the super chat. All right, Africa's Future, go ahead.
Hey, Dynast, how you doing?
Doing great, brother.
All right. Yeah, I'm from Ghana, by the way, and I really like the topic you just raised. Now, the question is, do we as Black people have a Black agenda for every Black person on the face of the earth?
Africa's Future, your sound's going in and out. Like it's going in and out.
All right, I'm gonna log on and I'm gonna get back in again. I'm gonna check it and get back in again.
All right.
Now? Is it better?
Dynast, there's one. Dynast,
yeah, go ahead.
Dynast, yeah, there's one thing that I think also, obviously we can accept that the doctors, they are free to go where they can get more money. It doesn't sound patriotic, but it's life, right? Just like here in the US, somebody can leave one state and go to another state. But the one thing is that, you know, it costs a lot of money to train doctors, right? And in most African countries, as far as I know, most of that education is paid for by the government, right? So if it's paid for by the government, that means those are taxes that are coming from the ordinary people, right? So now you get this situation, this dilemma where the doctor has been trained by people's money. He didn't pay for that education. And then he goes overseas, he's making the money for himself. So pretty much you socialize, you subsidize the cost of education, but they don't get to turn around and pay back that amount. So I think our governments also need to really find a way that when people like, say, doctors or anybody who is really has been trained in the local universities and really hasn't paid the cost of education, when they go overseas, they need to be able to pay back some of the
Exactly,
money, right?
Muji. Thank you.
Whether you know, look at like the Cubans, you know, the Cuban government, they send doctors all over the world, but government actually gets paid money, so they get a salary, but the government gets paid money, right? So that could help with improving the health facilities. So really, you know, actually, when you think about it, right, our governments, they're not really proactive. They don't take people. We need more think tanks, right? Because we could actually be sending the doctors in kind of a program for the government, right? Where maybe the doctor may get 70, 80% of the money, but 20% is going into a fund that helps with local medical facilities, right? So, you know, there's a lot we could do, but, you know, the thing is the leaders are sleeping on the wheel. So then the individuals just end up taking whatever the best decision it is for themselves, you know, right?
Exactly.
So, yeah, so
Okay.
In the UK,
let's pass it. Hold on. Let's pass it. FVV. Go ahead, FVV.
Okay. Hello. Hi, Dynast. Hi, everyone
Hey, how
on
you
the
doing?
panel. I'm fine. I just wanted to add to the conversation. I heard one of the panelists talking about how incompetent the doctors are in Africa, right? I want to agree. I want to disagree with that, right? There's some. I would say there's some aspects to the fact that there's some incompetence, maybe due to the fact that they don't have enough equipment and stuff like that. But the doctors in Africa, given with the little that they have, they basically are performing miracles. The problem is the government. The government needs to do more for its people. They need to provide more equipment. They need to provide more facilities for the doctors to be able to operate in a conducive environment and produce the results that they are
FVV, your
supposed to
sound,
produce.
FVV,
So
your
if you don't
sound
have
just
the
started.
equipment to work with, how are you supposed to produce the best? Now, this is not the situation everywhere. I would say in some certain places it's like that. Some government hospitals and some private hospitals do have the equipment to utilize to be able to produce the results that the patients need. And these are some of the brilliant people that I've seen. I mean, if you go to places like Nigeria, and the nurses over there, they actually doing more than some of the nurses over here. There's more responsibilities placed on them. There's some certain things that the nurses can do that if you're a nurse over here, you cannot do. It's kind of like beyond your scope of practice, you know, things of that nature. It doesn't mean that maybe if they're trained to that aspect of it, you know, like, okay, let me put it this way. There's certain things that a BSN can do here. Or let's say there's a certain thing that nurse practitioners do here that BSNs back in Nigeria actually doing, you know, because it's not within their scope of practice here in America, but it's different in Nigeria. And I had a friend of mine, he's a medical doctor in Nigeria. He was like, as student doctors, they were performing some certain things, surgeries and stuff, that when they had the American counterparts come, kind of like to, you know, like an exchange thing, they were surprised, like, oh, and these were like graduate students, were like, oh, we can't do that. We can't do that. But students were actually doing it in Nigeria.
Hey, can you hear me? Can you hear? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I
Can you hear me?
you.
Yeah, we can
Yeah,
hear you, but we can't hear her. Her
Yeah,
voice is going in and
it's
out.
yeah.
crackling.
Your
Oh
Wi-Fi,
wow.
your connection is
Okay.
crackling. Like it's doing a crackle. Like it's crackling.
Can you hear me now?
Your
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's
Maybe
crackling.
it's your
It's bad.
headphones. Plug it back in and out again.
Yeah, it's bad.
Okay. Let me log out and log back in.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Maybe that works.
okay,
All right.
okay.
Thank you.
All right, Al, go ahead, Al. Al, go ahead.
Yeah,
Al.
as Mushi was saying earlier, you know, in the U. All right, okay. Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
As Muchi was saying earlier, in the UK, that's exactly what they was trying to counter, because a lot of people are using the taxpayers' money and going to university, you know, and when they get their experience, they live in the UK, they're going to Australia. And the UK is saying, hang on a minute, why are we spending our taxpayers' money for you to run away with all that wealth and talent to go and develop another country? So the African government need to start doing that. So if you're gonna if they're gonna educate you, yeah, and then you're gonna run away with all that knowledge and coming over here trying to empower another country, you have to pay some kind of tax or some kind of levy. You know, that's a
Yeah,
good
but they
question.
don't educate them free. They pay school fees.
No,
They're not
well,
being educated in medical school free in Nigeria.
my family school in Sierra Leone, we never charged my dad's older brother when he passed away. Even when he was alive, he made sure no one ever paid penny to be educated in our
No, we're
schools.
talking about the government, not private, sir. We're talking about the government. The
No,
governments don't pay for medical school in Africa.
No, they do. They do indirectly.
What are you
Don't say they
talking
don't.
about?
Don't
Some
say.
countries.
Listen. Wait a second. Okay, I know in Zimbabwe and in many other countries. Look, what happens is the fees are a token of what it costs to educate. Don't just what it costs to educate the doctors. You understand? A doctor, if
Yes, it's subsidized.
yeah, it's heavily subsidized.
Well,
That's why. So you can
heavily.
for all intents and purposes, they don't pay anything, right? You know, doctors here in the U.S. by the time they graduate from college, they will be $300,000 to $400,000 in debt. You know what I'm saying? $300,000 to $400,000 in debt. So so if somebody's coming from Africa, that means like they already have an advantage where they don't have to pay
big time advantage.
So that gives you an idea of how much it costs to educate a doctor. It may not be that much in Africa because, of course, the cost of living is lower, right? But it costs a lot of money. So if somebody just graduates and then all of a sudden they leave, for whatever reason it is, right?
And also,
it is bad on the national economy, right? Because the poor people who are paying taxes to fund those university colleges, universities in Africa, they're getting nothing out of it, right? They have to wait. They have to wait for a long time to get attention, or they don't have enough doctors and things like that. So we just have to be smart about it, right? And say, okay, fine. If we can't, because we live in a democracy, right? If we can't stop people from living, right? So what else can we do in the meantime so that we can have a win-win situation, right? That's why we need to do it instead of like, it's not all or nothing, right? Like we have to find some medium, where the government and the people can somehow benefit.
Look at what happened to slavery. They took all the young, fit, talented men out of Africa.
Yeah, and then the last thing I want to say,
America and the Caribbeans.
Yeah, let me say one thing. Last thing I want to say. Let me say one thing. One last thing. This thing, like somebody mentioned, I think it was Gaston Pambo. It's really, really, or it was maybe Go Black. It's really, really bad because when you see the presidents of Nigeria, all over Africa, Zimbabwe too, Mugabe, for all that he did, the fact that Mugabe died in Hong Kong, all right, getting medical treatment, it's a sad indictment of what systems we are creating on the continent, right? Because we can talk about black empowerment all we want, but when a 94-year-old man has to go and die in a foreign country, it's really,
you have to come to London to get treated. You have to come to London.
Exactly. Because you know why? Because they do have some local private clinics that are expensive, but they cannot do all the procedure, right? They don't have maybe oncology, like a strong oncology disciplines and all that.
So Muchi, hold on, brothers. If Al and Muchi sat down with the president of Nigeria right now, Buhari, and you said what you're saying to him, be honest, what do you think he would tell you?
Well, you
He
know
probably
what?
gonna go.
You know what you
He's probably
say?
gonna tell me to go and F myself.
You probably say that we have enough hospitals here. But even though I know Buhari has been going to England and all that when he gets sick. So I mean, but you know what? The thing is, the advisors that are close, right? I think they should be asking those kind of questions, like, gentlemen, what kind of legacy are we leaving behind? Anytime we get sick, we have to go overseas, and then the vice president has to take over the running of the affairs of this nation, right? I mean, I just don't know. I think one of the things that I think I find problematic with us Black people, we are not always honest to each other, right? And then we hate criticism, right? Anytime I saw Go Black when he was talking, with the South Africans, they got hot because Go Black was saying things they did not want to hear. You understand? So I'm not criticizing South Africans, but I'm just saying, as Africans, we need to be able to take criticism. And if somebody criticizes Zimbabwe, that's not personal. If it's true, I should acknowledge and see, hey, maybe we need to change. Maybe we need to.
If you criticize the Nigerian, forget the president. You criticize the local the local chairman of the local government. If you criticize him, you're gonna have people visit you at night, man. Like, we have to contend with that. Like, I think we don't analyze that when it comes to power.
Let me say one last thing. I knew a doctor here, right? Was in the medical school here at Michigan State. Was head of the medical school here in Michigan State. Nigerian gentleman. He graduated in the 60s, all right? So this gentleman, the way I got to know him, because, one of my friends, she was from Bahamas. She was dating the nephew, whatever, right? So we would go to the house, right? But you know what he told me? When he graduated after working a little bit here in the US, he went back to Nigeria, right? And he became the chairman of the Medical Association in Nigeria, okay? So what he told me is that what he quickly found out, there was a lot of people that were selling drugs, pharmacies, but these people, they had these certificates hanging in their offices saying the doctor of this from Surrey University, from Oxford, whatever university, right? When they started doing investigations because people were complaining, these people were not qualified, okay? So he said, they went to the police. He was started going to the police, right, and reporting, right? Say, hey, and then he said, God, okay, fine. They were shutting down these pharmacies. But he said, a few months later, when you will be driving by, the same pharmacy will be open. And say, he went back to the police, hey, we will shut down this pharmacy. This guy is not a doctor, he's not a pharmacist, he's dispensing medicine, right? And he said that, you know what? The policeman say, you old guy, you caused too many problems. Now you go back to your office. So the man.
Now you see what we're dealing with. How do you get Dennis? How do you deal with that, Dennis?
And he's back in the US. He's back in the US. He's back in the US in the medical department here. Fuck all. But he really wanted to change things in Nigeria. But this is what he told me. This is just it's crazy.
Hey, let me read the super chat. MS Delta guy, Mississippi Delta guy. Appreciate the super chat. Having medical school debt of $300K can be paid off in just a few years if you get a good salary as a doctor. Being a doctor is long term. FVV, go ahead, FVV. Unmute yourself, FVV. FVV, unmute yourself. I don't know what's going on here. Okay.
Dennis, I want to ask you a quick question.
Go ahead.
So my question is basically this. I hear a lot of times the FBA, they always say, hey man, the first thing that the African or the Caribbean say is the government.
One second. FVV, you still got that crackling going on, FVV. If I don't know, you got to call it on a different device. Okay. You still got the crackling going. Yeah. I don't know what's going on. Okay.
So they always say, hey, we make up excuses for the government, which to a certain degree we may use it as a crutch, unfortunately. However, I will say this, and I want to hear your response as an FBA. When we look at again, the policing of Black communities, the redlining in terms of mortgages, lack of education, and the poor education facilities for certain inner city Black youth. Even the book, the lady who there's a woman, African American lady who wrote about Henrietta Lacks. She has a book called Medical Apartheid, talking about the lack of medical facilities for African Americans. Is that not also the government? You understand what I'm saying? Like, if an African came here and said, hey, what's your excuse? FBA can easily point to instances of government intervention in
Yeah,
making
but
their
Gaston,
lives difficult.
the argument what makes it different is the argument is, Black Americans were a minority here in America versus, this is going on in what a lot of Black immigrants are facing is majority. I mean, they're Black ran countries. So that's
So you're
that's
saying that because it's black ran, that it's because it's a black owned, black, the dominating factor is that it's black owned or black majority. That's the reason why they can't have, governmental issues or intrusions that are affecting them.
right. But again, that's what we don't like. What many FBA ADOS don't understand. It's like, okay, we've been here in America. We're the minority. Africans in Africa. Africans are the majority. What's the problem?
But again, do FBA take into account how, for example, their taxpayer money? I think you had a show about that. Their taxpayer money funds a lot of colonial intrusion in Africa, right? You've read Economic Hitman. You
Right.
can listen to
Right.
Joseph Stiglitz, a Nobel prize winning economist, I believe. Right? These guys explain how European and American policies are affecting the African continent.
No, right. But then the Ghanaian and Nigerian doctors who come to America to practice who are paying taxes, they're, I guess, paying into that fund as well.
And also, Dynast, like when you think about the payment in Africa that the doctors or, for example,
I can barely hear you.
my cousin in Guinea. Okay, 1 second. When we talk about the pay that the people in Africa get, for example, on the money that they earn, in terms of cost of living, if you're earning £1,000 in Africa compared to someone that earning like £3,000 or £4,000 in the UK, in terms of cost of living, you're actually earning quite a good money, because with that money you can actually save up. Cost of living is cheaper. You know what I mean? So, and also depend on what you value in life, right? If your value is all about money, then obviously I can see why you want to rush to come to the West. But obviously, if you're earning a decent amount of money in Africa, that's enough for you to save and live on, and at the same time probably build a house or send your kids to school. It's the same thing you're gonna get in the West. And if you're a doctor, what have you got to lose when you're actually staying in your community and helping the community that you belong to? So I don't know it depends on what people value in life, to be honest. I think that's what it comes down to, innit?
Can I say something?
Yeah. Well, let me pass it to
Go ahead,
Little
Jagan.
Rock first. MS Delta guy, thank you so much for the super chat. Was facing ADOS FBA is the need for strong nuclear families. All right, Little Rock, go ahead.
Hey, can y'all hear me?
Hear you just fine. Go ahead.
Hey, what's going on, Donis? Appreciate it for letting me on. What we're dealing with here and abroad is we as Black people or people of African descent have made dysfunction function, and here and abroad. And despite what's going on with the government intervention, we still have to come up with a plan to go back to Africa, build our own hospitals, pay our own, train our own doctors, and incentivize them staying with us in Africa as we expand. When Indians come and bring their doctors, they don't have this issue. When Europeans come and they have to build clinics and in their communities, they don't have this problem. They just do it, right? So our problem is that we're so mentally fucked up that we don't see that we just need to take a different approach than what's going on in Africa. I know it's a situation where you have to pay to play, dealing with politicians trying to get something done. But listen, dude, you're gonna have to pay to play. You're gonna have to go there, play the game until you become the game. You have to play it until you become the person who can change the game. You ain't gonna do it trying to get a leader to change his fucking mind. He's incentivized doing what he's doing. So you're not going to break through that with your little groups. All we have to do is infiltrate, grow with the people that's there who want to grow. Train your own doctors. Get them incentives to stay, like expansion. Like, okay, you can run your clinic over here, and that's a benefit. You know, I don't know any other way of doing it outside of killing somebody, and we don't have an army. Can't hear you, Diamond.
My bad. Mississippi Delta guy, don't blame Africa's situation on the USA. Talk to France and UK first. All right, Peso, you about
Yes.
to say something, Peso?
Yeah, I'm gonna say
Go ahead.
this. I think we really need to start addressing the intelligence component of this whole entire situation, because what I've seen, the African is not very smart as a whole. I didn't say that there were not any smart Africans in Africa, but as a whole, the African is not a very bright man. The African male. Not only is he not bright, which actually is a component of what I'm about to say. He's corrupt. He's pretty much a savage. And what I mean by savage is that he only looks out for himself. He's only worried about himself. These people are in savage, what I call savage mode. They're not in building mode. They're not in prospering mode. They're in savage mode. And when you're in savage mode, you're only thinking about yourself. So you can't think about the entire group because you're only thinking about yourself. And what I've seen, the African is not a
So
very
so
smart man.
Aliko Dangote,
Sir, you can go. Hold on, hold on.
Dangote,
I'm still talking. Then you can talk.
Aliko
No, can
Dangote
can
has
I
ten
talk first?
thousand people.
No, but
Can I
Yo, I
talk?
don't.
Can
Yo,
I
look.
talk first? Can I
First
talk
of all,
first?
first of all,
no.
first of all,
Let him speak. No,
first
no,
of all,
Tyler,
nigga. First of all,
Tyler, man.
first.
Let him finish. Let him
Yeah,
finish.
Come on,
but don't
Tyler.
insult all Africans. I mean,
Let him
just say your
finish.
point. Don't insult all Africans and say Africans are not smart. That's very,
But let the brother speak.
I
Let
mean,
him have it. Listen, I'm an African.
Moochie, let him go.
Let him have his opinion, please.
Please
Go ahead.
let me go. Please let me go because I said in general. I didn't say that they're all Africans are dumb. I didn't say that. If I wanted to say
Man,
all
get your
Africans are dumb,
moist
I would
ass off
say it.
here.
I
Man,
would say
let him
that. But
finish. Let him finish.
all Africans are not dumb. But I said in general, the African is not very smart, and we need to start addressing that. We need to stop sugarcoating all this stuff and making excuses, saying this and that. The African as a whole is not a very smart person because let me say this. Let me just say this one thing, and I'm gonna get off. When the so-called white man came over to Africa and took their land from them at gunpoint, why wasn't there one African, one tribe, all this area? Why wasn't there one tribe that said, you know what? These guys came over and took our stuff at gunpoint. Let's go over to China. Let's go over to here. Let's see if we can get some gun technology so that we can protect our property. They weren't even smart enough to do that. So all this history you be talking about, this and that in 1845 and now, that all that go out the window. The African as a whole is not a very intelligent man, and I'm done.
Right,
Excellent
right.
point.
Okay,
Excellent
okay,
point.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay. You know what? You know
get
what?
it. Okay,
I
yeah,
listen. I
everybody.
took the
I don't
criticism.
have much time. I gotta get back to my office. Yo, can I just say a couple things and I'll be out of you guys' hair and whatnot. This is a freaking problem right here. What I have, this guy Pencil Man is on the internet going after Kevin Samuels. He's attacking Angry Man, attacking O'Shea Duke Jackson. I don't see where Angry Man is doing anything wrong. He's just giving his opinion. This guy's attacking him all the time. This beta male simp culture and everything. And the bottom line, you don't like Africa because you always talk about Africa because you don't like black men asserting themselves in this world, right? The very thing you keep talking about, Africa don't do this. We're doing right now, having these conversations. Where African brothers from African Americans, African brothers are fighting, we're arguing, and we're also bonding together in these conversations, and we're going to the next step. So no talk is no good.
We're talking and we're communicating and we're traveling. We're investing. Yeah, there's going to be bumps in the road and whatever. But just like a chrysalis, right? A caterpillar when it goes into goes into a chrysalis, he changes, right? And it's a terrible thing. And out comes a butterfly, something new. The black race is going through that right now. We're going through changes. Things that will happen in the past, we realize what we made was wrong and we're correcting them. And out of which something is going to be new. But you think we're going to listen to somebody named Pencil Man tell us Africans are stupid and when it's shut the entire heck up. So any sort of black African person who say that he does not speak for black people in America, he does not speak for black heterosexual men and everything. And so that's a bunch of foolishness. And last thing I want to say about the brain drain. There's a global scramble. I think somebody just said a minute ago about British losing brain drain to Australia. The only thing is Africa, we have to get to the point, like Gasmo said, to basically build the infrastructure where we have a treasury bonds and stuff like that and a tax base that we can bring this sort of be in competition. Everybody talking about natural resources, but people stealing your human resources. You can have the natural resources. We need the human resources. Singapore has no natural resources. It's rich. Japan has no natural resources. It has human resources. Africa does not value human resources. That's the fall of Africa. It's a legacy of colonialism, slavery, and everything. All the human capital went out of the continent. You leave Africa, And so the bottom line is we have to change that trajectory. So when you see African Americans going to the continent, right? The Bag family, celebrate that shit, That's saying that Africa has some value. Our African brothers should not be criticizing us when we make mistakes or we say certain things. That's all I want to say.
All right, Black Agenda. Go ahead, Black Agenda.
Hey, Dennis, can you hear me?
We hear you. Go ahead.
All right. Now, I disagree with Pencil, man. Pencil, man, you wrong for that, man. Did you say African tribes did not put up any fight? Man, where you get your information from? That's wrong. Have you read the history of Ashantis? Please read that, okay? Before you make such a
But the Ashanti
beat the British 10 times.
But remember the Ashanti.
That's how low your IQ is.
The Ashantis fought the British damn near 100 years, man.
Because I never said Africans.
They beat the British 10 times.
Your IQ is.
Man, where you get your information from?
That's how low your IQ is. Because I never said Africans never resisted. Okay, so that's
low IQ. Someone talks with a slur. Someone talks with a slur. You sound slow right now.
And
so you're not African, right?
You
FBA, right?
Hold on. That's number one. First of all, and the second thing, Mr. College Genesis, you say these tribes defeated all these guys 10 times, 20 times. Well, who's running the show now, sucker? Who's running the show?
Exactly. Why don't you wait till where you from, man?
Hold. Let me explain something to you. Knowledge improves. Okay. Now let's look at. Let me take Africa and draw and make an example for you. Can you hear me? Hello, can y'all hear me?
Yes, go ahead. Go.
I can hear you. Now. See, in Europe, they had a lot of fights, centuries of fights. Now, I'm trying to make an analysis, and then we'll make a comparison. Africa is bigger than Europe. The French and the English fought so many years. Now, if I come in today with a knife and I defeat your father, and I kill your father, next time you'd bring something better than a knife to fight me. Over time, they became wiser. For lack of better words, they became wiser and smarter. So they improved in weapons. Now let's take Africa. Africa was large. So if you attack a tribe, there's so much land for the other tribes to move away from you. We didn't get that chance to engage in a lot of fights like Europeans did. Okay, so by the time Europeans made contact with Africa, they had advancement in weaponry, and we did not have that. Okay, when they came in, we were using spears. They had mastered gunpowder. It wasn't gun.
I think
They
I
had
just
guns
said.
when it came to Africa. We did
Hey,
not have that
I
because
think I
we were
just
not
said that.
fighting that much.
I
Okay,
think I
let me.
just said that, homie.
I'm trying to make a point. Let me give my point
You don't have
first,
to make
please.
any points. You don't have to make any points because I just
Dude,
said that.
I
just
listened to
said
you
that.
make your dumbass point. I'm sorry, Dennis.
Your point is irrelevant now. Your point is irrelevant because I
Dude,
said it earlier. Why didn't some African one tribe out of a gazillion tribes they got in Africa, so-called, why didn't one tribe say, you know what? Let's go over to XYZ country and see if we can get some of this gun technology
where
so
you
that we
gonna
can
go?
protect
This is the
our.
thing. Where are you gonna? That's the thing. Where were you gonna go?
You know what? You know what? I
Where were
forgot
you
they were.
gonna go?
You're right. You know what? I forgot they were too dumb to build a boat to travel to China because they were so damn dumb.
You dumb too.
Exactly,
You black
man.
man.
He's
You
right.
dumb
No,
too.
listen, he's right. This guy is right, but I just want to know, why is he on this platform? You know, letting us know how dumb we are. I mean, because he's obviously
Exactly.
not an African. He's probably
You
FBA or
always
somebody.
He's entitled to his opinion. He's one
You
of
know,
Which
us,
he is.
right?
He is entitled to it. But I just don't
One of
understand the
us.
point, because I know he's not African, or he's probably, FDA or Freedman or one of those
He's
ideologies.
African
I'm
regardless. To
surprised
me,
he's
he's
talking
No,
like
he's
I'm an
not African.
African.
Hold
I'm
on, wait,
surprised
wait,
he's
wait.
talking like
To me,
this,
he's
Peso.
man.
African.
No, Black. Hold on, Black. The Peso man. You're not one of us, right? You're not a dumb African, right? Peso, you're not a dumb African like us, right?
I'm just as dumb as y'all. I'm just as dumb as y'all.
I told you
Oh,
guys.
so you one of us.
So being that you've been able to identify that Africans were dumb, what have you done to improve your situation?
Sir,
What have you done?
one person can't do anything because there are a lot of, like
All
I said
right.
once
So
before,
one tribe cannot do anything when you exactly. So one tribe cannot
like
do
I said
anything
once
when you
before,
have European countries who
there
have
are
spent so
plenty
many
smart,
centuries
there
fighting
are
and
plenty smart
mastering the art of
people in
fighting,
Africa,
attacking
but
the
the
African
majority of them
continent.
are dumb. There are a lot of smart people in Africa,
Well,
but the
Peso, would you
majority
like
of
the
them are
history
dumb.
lesson? Well,
I
Peso, would
get
you like to know, for
lesson.
example? Hold on, Black. Let me answer this
Hey,
question.
I don't need to learn no history lesson.
Because I can tell you, because you asked the question.
We are
Okay, so
in the
let's
current.
discuss it.
We are
Yes,
in the
sir. So
current.
let's discuss it. Okay, so you asked the question. You said, how come not one Africa? Actually, a couple did. Benin, the Oba of Benin, was actively seeking cannon technology. Remember, the so-called European, didn't. He took gunpowder, and the Chinese actually used gunpowder to scare away
For
ghosts.
medicine.
Right, but medicine and to scare away ghosts doing with the use of firecrackers. But that's a whole other
Listen,
conversation.
gas
Hold
them
on,
up,
wait.
gas
Let
them
me
up.
answer this question. I just want to answer this question. You had the Oba of Benin. He was trying to get cannon technology. Also, Jaja of Opobo, unfortunately, who was also a slave trader, he was trying to implement a lot of what you're saying, and then he got kidnapped, and I believe the British took him and dropped him off in St. Vincent, if I'm not mistaken, one of the Caribbean countries, and he actually lobbied for the Queen of England, and they finally released him, and he died on his way back to Nigeria, right, where he was from. So some Africans did try to implement and acquire that technology, but you have to understand, Europe didn't just create this technology in a vacuum. They organized their society a certain way. So you can read people like Foucault. You can understand people like Emmanuel Wallerstein to understand the global world system. What did Europe do, right? How did they transition from feudalism into the current system that they have today? What was going on? And how did the European system get structured that way, right? Foucault has a book called The Order of Things. So what created that order? And that's how you can see they were able to take those technologies that they took from all different parts of the world, and they were able to juxtapose it and synchronize it into what they used to colonize the world. And they first implemented that on themselves. So you can read a book from peasants to Frenchmen, right? There's a great book you can read. Yeah, go ahead.
And also the reason why West Africa is still West Africa, is the most indigenous part of Africa, is because of these tribes. You know, basically, if you look at slavery, yeah, the invasion of West Africa, in a way, is a vengeance. Revenge, because our ancestors, the Soninke, the Mandinka, the Fulani, they already crossed across the Mediterranean and invaded these people years before they came to Africa. Brown their skin up. Look at Portuguese and Spanish. They all got melanin in them. You know why? Because the black West African from the Senegambia region, the Mali, people of the Mali region, yeah, and the Barbers already been there and already colonized them. Why did he tell the African American brother? Yeah, that's way before Europeans stepped foot in Africa, started to slave us.
Peso,
So
so I
you gotta
hope that
remember that.
answers the
So we're not
question.
that primitive. Remember
Africans are
that,
not
brother. Please.
docile. We just didn't sit down and watch our landscape. Our people got, we just did not sit down. It took something happening. And
That's
until we sit down to address what happened,
that's
it will keep on
baloney, sir.
happening.
That's
Okay?
baloney, sir. The white man
No, I agree with
you.
that. I agree with that point.
Now, man,
Yeah,
the
that's
white
right. You
man
have thought us.
outthought you, pretty much.
Exactly. You're right. I'll give you that. Yes, he did.
The white
But what
man did
America
not
has
outthink us.
done,
The white man did not outthink us. That's a lie. That's a myth. What the white man did was simple, and there is no so-called white man.
Divide and
First, he
rule,
invented.
divide and
He,
conquer.
he
Because we was already
well, what he
divided.
did
We had
first,
an infight.
hold on, Al, hold on. What the white man did first is he invented this idea that he is a white man. He created this idea of the other. And remember, it was not the average white guy who did this. These were elite white males who did this, right? They did this and they took this idea that the person who was political and they exported their poverty around the world. Remember, they're the ones who needed global trade. Nobody around the world needed global trade. They did because their
because he
lands
had
were
nothing.
entirely decimated. They didn't
Because
have
he had
it. So
nothing.
that's why Marco Polo, that's why the Portuguese were sailing around the world out of desperation. These were people living in caves. They weren't taking showers. They weren't bathing, right? If you listen to Queen Isabella, what did she say? She said, I only took a shower twice, when she was born and when she was baptized. So you can imagine what her husband Ferdinand was eating when he was tossing that salad at night, right? Because, these are some sick people. So this is he did not outthink us. We have to stop. Listen, if you fight a fight and you lose, that doesn't mean the person is your God. You had a fight and you lost. You regroup and you get back to fighting. You get back in there. Maybe you lost a round. I'm tired of us talking that we lost a round and we're crying.
Can I ask you something? Gas them up.
Go ahead.
If these guys were these white people, these cave dwellers, what we gonna call them? What y'all guys call them? These savage white cave dwelling white folks. If they were doing so bad or if they were so desperate, why were they able to create all this technology and be able to go to other lands and take people's stuff? And
let me explain something to you. Let me explain something to you.
I'm not finished. And why wasn't the African? I mean, it had to be. We're gonna roughly say it had to be at least 500 million people on the continent at the time, maybe 200 million or whatever. Out of all those people, there was not one person. Well, I'm not gonna say one person. There wasn't a percentage. A small percentage of people were able to come up with some type of deterrent to keep their property. And to this day, there is not one strong African military. To this day, there's no
Guys, let me go and then after that you can go, please. I'm gonna try and see.
African technology companies that are creating missiles, bombs, fighter jets, or nothing in Africa. Why? Because the African is a savage, pretty much. The African has a low IQ. The African is selfish. And the African only cares about himself. Point blank.
What?
The evidence is there, right in your face. The evidence is there. The evidence is there.
No,
let me jump real quick, please.
Let me just finish.
Let me jump real quick.
Right? Let me just counter this because Nigeria manufacture their own war tanks. Nigeria manufacture most of their weapons that they use now. Nigeria is manufacturing drones, and I saw Buhari launch the Sokoto Caliphate war vessel built by Nigeria, owned by Nigerians, for Nigerians. What are you talking about, brother?
Yeah, good. Let me jump real quick. Look, let me take two African countries.
This is 2022, sir. This is
2022. Dude, you asked the question. Let's try and see if we can break this down for you. Look, let's look at Nigeria and all of West Africa. I'm Ghanaian, by the way. Now, there is a perception that Nigerians are smarter or faster than some African countries. Well, there is some truth to that. Now, let me explain why.
I agree.
See, Nigeria is about over 200 million people living in the area of living in land size, the area of Texas. Now, everybody has to fight for everything So they come out very aggressive. Now let's look at countries like Ghanaians. Ghanaians are very few. We used to have gold. Now we are not that many, so we can afford to lay back. We are not that aggressive because we have not been exposed to that kind of a lot of people sharing the same resources. That was what happened. Now, when Europeans had nothing and they live in a very small part of the world, and they were always fighting for land, they were fighting for damn near everything. Guess what? They learned the art of fighting, and then they took it outside. Dude, you asked, and I'm telling you.
I don't want to hear your excuses.
I can answer your question, sir.
Go ahead.
So Al just gave you examples of what Nigerians are doing, and you dismissed them. You said 2022. He gave you modern day examples of what the Nigerian government is doing in terms of manufacturing their own weapons, and you thoroughly dismissed it. Why?
Exactly.
He just don't want to hear it.
Hold on, I just went. Peso man, Al answered you. He gave you. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. You meant let's say you're manufacturing your own weapons, which I've yet to see them being used. Okay, what do you?
Oh my!
If
they're doing it right now against Boko Haram.
Look at this stuttering.
Gas him up. Guinea-Bissau.
Do this stuttering.
Boko Haram. Wow. Y'all really picking on some heavyweights there. Boko Haram. Okay. Some real heavyweights. Okay. Now
and all over West
use
Africa.
all this.
Use all
this technology.
Hey, Peso man is not a Ghanaian, man. He's not a Ghanaian.
Hold on, Black Agenda. Let him finish. Don't cut him off.
Use all this technology you got in Nigeria now to actually exert yourself on Europe now. To say Europe, you're not gonna bully us anymore.
Can I respond to that?
You're not gonna bully us anymore, Europe.
You're right. I think that should be the next step in terms of standing up. But I think the problem is that you have to understand this. The myth of the African, and I'm getting this from, I sent this video to Dynast. I forgot what's the brother's name? I forgot. But there's this myth that the African warrior, we were not walking around colonizing lands, right? That's not typically, most Africans, not all, I hate to generalize, but historically, people just wanted, some land, 2 or 3 wives, have your children, dance, enjoy yourself, die, put something for the future, and go on. The people who created this warfare, like a cancer, literally, if you look at the earth as a body, this cancer that erupted out of Europe is something that nowhere in the world had ever seen. The Chinese had never seen it, right? The Opium Wars. The Japanese had never seen it. Commodore Perry with his gunboats. No one had ever seen this. The Native American was almost entirely wiped out, right? And that should actually be a testament to the strength of Africa, because if we had gone the route of the Native Americans, we would be driving the Toyota Zulu, right? Or the Honda Yoruba. That's what would have happened to us. So that's a testament to the strength and the resilience of African resistance. Now, it may not have happened in the way that you and I want with hindsight, but we can't look back at our ancestors and laugh at them. We just have to say, man, these are the mistakes they made, and how do we move forward? So I'm glad that you have that fervor and energy. But like I said, listen, I'll pay for your ticket. Come down to Nigeria. Let me take you to Warri. Let me take you to Onitsha. Let me take you to parts of Lagos. Let me take you to Ajegunle. Let me take you to Mushi. Let me take you to Lagos Island. I'm going to put you there with the Alayes, and let's see how long your message can last. Or matter of fact, I don't even want to do that. I'll fly you to Chicago. I'll take you to the Bronx where them young boys is getting sturdy. Let's see if they listen to you. This is my beef with you guys. Y'all come on here. Y'all talk great, but nobody want to go down to the ground, roll up your sleeves, pull your jeans up, and get dirty in the mud. It's easy to talk like this. But nobody want to go into Soundview Projects in the Bronx. Nobody want to go to East New York. Nobody want to go to College Park in Atlanta and stand there and talk to them steppers, them young boys shooting. Nobody want to do that. But we can come online and we can talk tough. Nobody wants to go into Warri right now, Port Harcourt or Onitsha, and face them boys and tell them, hey, listen, we're going to do it like that. Are you ready for that? If you're ready for that, then let's make it happen. Until then, we just talking.
True. I know. Gas him up. I agree to you, bro. Honestly.
So Peso, yeah. Peso, we are not a dumb group of people. I can put it. I think we were just a little bit late to the party. That is what happened.
I did not say all
We are not.
Africans are dumb.
That's what you said.
No, I
Dude,
did not.
that's what you said.
I didn't say all Africans are dumb. I said there are some very intelligent
It's a
Africans.
majority.
But
I said
the
majority of
majority,
people are
yeah,
dumb.
the majority, the majority of Africans have low IQs, meaning that they cannot critically think.
Do you know the word IQ
Most
itself?
Africans cannot critically think. It's not. Hold on, and it's not because, and it's not genetics, because Black people can be some of the most intelligent people in the world.
Thank you.
It's the environment that they're in. It's the environment that they're in, and once again, like I said once before, the proof we have hundreds of years of empirical evidence sitting right in front of your face. You guys want to talk about these small little pockets of history? Oh, this guy this guy that. We got data. We got so much data, it's ridiculous. And what we've seen is that the African is selfish, the African is corrupt, the African is not a very smart individual. And I'm strictly talking about the African male, because the African male is the leader. A man is a leader.
That's actually opposite.
It's been proven year after year after year after year. Matter of fact, the African male, the African is so selfish that he will leave his own country. And this is going back to the actual original topic of medicine, of medical African and medicine. The African is so selfish that he goes to another country to actually work on himself medically, to if he has cancer, if he has this, if he has that. Not only that, the African in most situations.
But who is this African, brother? Wait, you gotta clarify. Wait, hold on, Black. I want to ask him: the African leader or the African male on the ground? Because the African dude on the ground is sitting out there trying to survive. He gets on the freaking bus from Lagos Island and he goes all the way to his job in Lekki, and he comes back at work at night. So when you say the African, you mean the African elite leadership. But that's no different from the congressional. Hold on, wait. That's no different. Hold on, Black Agenda. That's no different. Hold on. That's what you're saying. The African leadership is no different than the Congressional Black Caucus. They doing the same thing. They just scratching their ass in Congress there. They're not sitting out there doing anything for Black people in America. There's not one leader other than maybe Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan that's doing anything for Black people in America. So you could talk that stuff about African leadership.
Is a microcosm of what's happening on the continent.
This is what I'm saying. So you blaming the leaders? Yes, I agree. But are you saying the African? Are you saying the African? Are you saying the African leader? Because I want him to be clear. Is he talking about the African leader or the African average African?
Every Black person.
I can't hear it.
Can I say?
Hold on. Let's do this. Go ahead, Shaw, and we'll pass the Captain Zulu. Go ahead, Shaw. Shaw, mute yourself. Okay, leave and come back in because it's on you. Leave and come back in. Kasha Zulu, go ahead, Kasha Zulu.
All right. I don't know who this peso guy is, bro, but the points you making, are you FBA, bro? Because the points you making, you can literally apply them to FBA too. So you're saying Africans are selfish and Africans are stupid and they sell their country out. You're talking about, again, what Gaston said, you're talking about the elite people. So are FBA selfish? Because look at, what's that dude name from South Carolina? He just won. He ran against Marcel. I don't know, John something.
Clyde, whatever.
Clyburn. That nigga's a clone, bro. Like, look at all the clones we got in the Congressional Black Caucus, but you sit here saying Africans sell out. Well, FBA sell out their people, and FBA are selfish. Just like you saying, with Africans, you can literally apply those same labels to us because we're all the same, you idiot.
That's why I don't take it personal, because we're all the same brothers anyway. So it's irrelevant.
That boy Peso is slow. Can I say this to the last guy? That shows your low IQ thinking, because I meant us too. I said me. I said the Black man. You know what? Let me clarify this. The Black man. How about that? The Black man. because that's where we originally come from, right? Africa, the black man, the melanated man. I'm talking about the melanated man. So I'm talking about.
I mean, so you saying that black women had no hand in Listen, what about Madam Tinubu? Look, I'm tired of all this women empowerment nonsense. Black women are just as sellouting, just as coonish as black males. They ain't no special. You understand what I'm saying? Madam Tinubu was one of the biggest slave traders, and she had a vagina. No, but he's saying that because this is what they do. They come on here and they make this stuff for these women, and women get happy. Now I want to hear that stuff. Hold on, wait, let me get this out. Wait, let me get it out. Wait, brother. No, wait. Let me. No, it's not a different topic. Let me say what he's saying because he's saying the black man. The point is, don't be scared. I'm not scared of no woman. At the end of the day, it's both parties. I'm not here to kiss no woman's ass. You understand what I'm saying? If black men are colonizing hold on, brother, slow down. We don't got to pander to women here. Ain't no women on this panel. We got to kiss their ass. We all men here. Listen, if black men are colonizers, women are colonizers too. Black women are just as equally guilty. Madam Tinubu, the Ashanti women, they've been selling slaves too. Black women have been selling out too. One of the slave revolts in Brazil, there was a lady who sold out. It was a black lady. So let's not. And there was in Cuba, there was a black lady who stood up and revolted. So don't put it on there. A black man, black woman. That's nonsense.
Asante was selling black men. He used an umbrella term to mean every black person. It includes woman, man, children, everybody. So I think I'm gonna disagree with you slightly on that. He used the umbrella term to mean. He meant to say the black person, the black man, woman, everybody.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's
Am
why
I wrong?
Don't take it that deep. That's him up. Don't take it personal. At the end of the day, it's the African American brother. It's the black man like us, whether he's American or African. Don't take it personal, yeah. But the reality is, he's generalizing, isn't it? But he already rectified that by saying all black melanated people. So just leave it as that, innit?
All right, so Pastor, look, I understand your frustration. You see, what we are going through right now as black people was an agenda against us. We have not done an agenda to get ourselves out of this mess. Black agenda.
Hey, Theo Nero, you gotta call back in. You got just too much background noise.
Yo,
All right,
yo,
go ahead.
just to add to the conversation, man. I'm Easy Bands. I got a channel on YouTube, and I talk about red pill stuff. I talk about the relationship between Africans as well and African Americans. And like one of my last few streams that I did was trying to pinpoint what's really going on. And as we can see, what's going on right now is a group of black folk, you feel me? African Americans and Africans pointing fingers at each other, right? And forgetting to point a finger at the elephant that's in the room. Now, we all know that, you feel me, there's a structure.
That's the reason why I break it up. That's the reason why I break it up, because I realize we actually start pointing fingers at one another.
Brother, you cut him off, though. You cut off his wisdom. Al, you cut off his wisdom.
I want the brother to finish. I want the brother to finish. Go ahead, Easy Man.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. I know you're just trying to add your 2 cents. It is what it is. But yeah, so that is the most detrimental thing that we can do. That's their plan, right? Their plan is for us to sit around pointing at each other, right? Meanwhile, who's setting up the rules? Who actually put the game in play, right? It's a group of people out there. We got the financial system. We got multinational corporations, and now they just corporations, right? We got governments like NATO, the U.S. government, foreign policy. If you guys take a look at the actual facts, you look at the foreign policy, the way shit's set up. The way it's set up is so that Africa can remain at the bottom, right? So I understand Peso coming over here, and just generalizing, saying that Africans are dumb, etc. It's easy for you to do because that's what they've set it up for us to see, right? They got this propaganda machine, which is the media, and the media knows the truth. The media knows that they're higher ups, right? That's setting all the rules, that's creating wars in certain countries, in certain continents. They're creating divisions, etc. But then the media will go to those countries and go and point at the leader and say, yo, this corrupt leader is destroying the people, right? When in fact the media knows that the actual people that's destroying the country is the policymakers, is the bank. So now we have this thing where, for instance, just to give you an example of how countries are being controlled, we have this thing where we have this liberal new order that we're trying to push. And the liberal new order comes with policies like, for instance, climate change. So they'll go to third world countries that used to be good at manufacturing. And this is one of the biggest problems that Africa has, is that our manufacturing is out the window. You feel me? And manufacturing is one of the things that helps economies grow. So they'll go to like countries like Africa, and it's happening everywhere, right? They'll go to countries like Africa and tell them that, yo, if you want a loan from us, you got to implement some of these policies that come with this climate change. And some of the policies that come with climate change, you got to cut your CO2 emissions. What does that mean? That means you have to stop some of your production when it comes to manufacturing, right? So it's a lot of policies that are stopping Africa from growing purposely. And if you guys want any proof, this is what's going to happen. If Africa right now was to become as successful as everybody else, you would be paying $10K for your iPhone, because a lot of the rare minerals that come that are in your iPhone and the components in your microphone, in your microchips, whatever, come from Africa. And we're getting them now dirt cheap. There's a reason for that. You see me? So there's a reason why Africa is in the position it's at right now. The media are doing a great job, and we can see it's working. We got Peso Man on here talking about, oh, this whole group of people, majority of them are dumb, etc. That's what they want us to think, and it's working. But I wanted to come on here, Uhuru. I've seen Uhuru. You feel me? I've seen some of his work on here. I think he's got a great platform, and I think now we need to start pointing fingers at the, you feel me, at the actual elephant in the room rather than each other. That's my word.
All right.
I appreciate you coming on, bro.
Can I go? Can I go, Dice?
Respects.
Yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely,
Go
brother.
ahead.
Well said. Thank you.
Yeah. Let me jump real quick. Peso Man. I understand your frustration. Africa needs a lot, and it's not just Africa. The black man needs a lot. I kept asking myself, how did we get into this position where we have become the butt of the joke across the face of the earth? I asked myself why. Now, you may not like it, but they are smart. We were outsmarted in a lot of ways. Now you ask yourself, how does someone gain this much knowledge and subject people to this kind of treatment? Well, we can all agree that formal education, whether you like it or not, gives us a lot of knowledge. Let's look at European formal education, and let's look at Africa pre-slavery, pre-colonization. Now, these people, I did some Google work. These people had universities as far back as 900 AD. What were Africans doing at that time? We were nomadic people. We were into farming. We were not doing nothing like that. Okay? Now, for people to have a formal education at tertiary level university in 900 AD, it means they were probably having high school education somewhere around 500 AD. So these people are reading, these people are writing way back, 500 AD. I'm a Ghanaian, so I did a comparison based on what is in Ghana to what I saw in Europe. Now, the first formal education, the first university in
hold
Ghana.
on. Black Agenda, bro. Timbuktu is older than that. What are you talking about?
Well, we were not into that kind of formal education. Timbuktu was into more or less like a religious education. If you ask
religious, they learned about astronomy and astrology. I'm not asking you. I know exactly what that called. Wait, bro. Okay, you got fragmented knowledge, bro.
I heard about it, but it wasn't formal like.
You heard about it? Okay, all right, bro.
Let me give my points across, and then after that you can jump real quick, please. But I mean, you will agree that most African tribes were into nomadic lifestyle. We're not into. I mean, it's look, the evidence is out there now. That's what we see right now. So by the time these people make contact with us on the continent, they were able to present Jesus as a white man to us, and we believed it. We believed it.
Okay, if they would have went to Egypt and said Jesus was a white man, they would have been firmly rejected, bro. Y'all just
Facts.
I'm using
you didn't
ours.
understand the folklore in that
I'm
story.
not comparing what he did in Egypt. I'm comparing what we saw in
I
Africa.
understand that, but they hadn't heard that story before, so that's why they gravitated towards it. Opposed to the Ethiopians, Ethiopia had
Zulu. We didn't know any better. We didn't know any better. If we knew Jesus was not white, we would not have fallen for it like that. To the point, I can assure you, you go to Ghana right now and you still see Jesus as a white man with blue eyes in the church.
I know. I'm
Yeah, I
married
believe
to a
that in
Ghanaian,
Ghana.
bro.
In Ghana, yeah.
I'm married to a Ghanaian.
So you should agree with me when someone got played. Okay, so by the time these people make contact with us, dude, we were look. I'm using Ghana.
Y'all was doing voodoo in Ghana when they made contact with y'all. Y'all only adopted Christianity after they militarily defeated y'all.
Dude, it's all across Africa, but I'm
That's
using
not
Ghana.
true. That's not true.
This is not true, man. Look, I'm using Ghana because I do not want to speak for any other African country. Okay,
I'm speaking for Ghana. I'm speaking for Ghana. Y'all were doing traditional African religions prior to the Europeans getting there. When the Europeans got that, you were still doing traditional African religions. When they militarily defeated you, then you converted to Christianity.
Good. So which means someone got played. Someone got beat. If you like it or not, someone got played. You know, if you like it or not, someone got played, and we got played.
Yo,
I'm gonna be honest with you.
Either we were uneducated, we got played. Which one is it, bro? Because you just moved the goalpost like 5 times. First, you said the Europeans were so much more educated than Africans when Europeans didn't start writing until when, bro? Like this is recently that they started literature. They learned literature from Africans.
You know, let me get it straight to you. History says we were in Egypt and we had universities and whatever. Now the Arabs raided Egypt and we had to run away from there into the woods in tropical sub-Saharan Africa. We didn't live there when Egypt collapsed. All the universities and whatnot were stolen by the Greeks.
That's not true. The Dogon brought a university over to West Africa.
Dude, the Timbuktu University was more or less like a religious education for Islamic expansion, dude.
Okay, so how do you explain Lana Matapa? How do you explain the great Zimbabwean kingdom in South Africa? It wasn't just West Africa. How do you explain the Shango bone that they found in the Democratic Republic of Congo, the first mathematical instrumental tool used? So you can't sit here and say that Africans were just some stupid people and they didn't know anything. The stupid people were the Europeans.
I didn't say that.
Fact.
Yo, black agenda.
That's basically what you saying, Black Agenda. There was so much learned and they had writing and this is irrelevant, bro.
Even if we had it right, even if we had that type of education you were talking about, it was not being offered to the masses like Europeans' education were doing. That's what I meant.
Dude, it was offered to whoever wanted the education. They're not going to go around finding people. They're not going to go. Come on, dude.
Oh, no. Let me tell you. This is why I agree with Peso on some level.
Africa has always been
Africans were so smart. Why did the white man leap?
Man, yo, listen. Take this in,
Can
right?
somebody explain?
Look, we have to accept that we've lost this battle, man. We have to accept that we've lost this battle before we can move forward.
Okay, and we're not arguing that, bro. We lost.
It's not even relevant. What y'all talking about is not even relevant. You can't compare the two, man. If we talking about smarts and talking about brutality, those are two different things, man. We had people like the ancient Egyptians. We had people like the Greeks. All these civilizations, all these intelligent ass people were conquered at one point by some fucking brutes, man. You feel me? So that shit you talking about, bro, has got nothing to do with each other, man. All right? African people, European people, everybody everywhere.
Exactly. It was intelligent people all over the world and they all equally got conquered.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So it happens. What I think was the mistake that Africans made is we relied on we put our what do you call it? We put our eggs in one basket, and that was the basket of, you know, basically getting gold for, what do you call it, for slaves and etc. Right? And that just went left. But back in the day, that was an economy that was everywhere. If we go to Europe, it was a beautiful economy over there. We have a group of people called the Slavs.
Everybody didn't get conquered, sir.
We got a beautiful, we got a group of people over there called the Slavs, and they used to be it was French slave traders that used to go into the interior of Europe, get slaves from the interior, take them to France, where there was slave imports.
That's where they get the term slavery from.
Easy, look. Look, easy.
So hold on.
Look, whether we have it or not.
Finish, y'all.
Let me just
whether we have
right?
that type of education or not.
So take this
someone
Someone
can we
Black Agenda, bro?
Black Agenda. Relax, bro. So take this in, right? So even in North Africa right now, you see that there's fair-skinned people over there. The reason for that is there's a lot of folk that came from Europe for thousands of years, bro. So this whole slavery thing, right? It was an economy back then. It was popular, right? And it was dying. Now, Africa just didn't have like trade routes and stuff like that. You feel me? We didn't have control of those things. And that's how come we started to slip back. We started to fall back when with this whole modernization, with this whole industrialization, right? Even products coming out of Africa, you feel me? We couldn't sell it to nobody else. All right. There were other people in the West and the Middle East that controlled certain trade routes. You feel me? And so there's different reasons to why Africa is in the position it's in right now. You and Peso are acting stupid as fuck, man. You know, my bad about the language, but you guys are acting stupid, bro, to come on here and start calling a whole group of people dumb, fam. When y'all don't even know the politics.
Look,
fam.
Look, I have not done
Yo,
what
you're backing it.
Let me.
And you said,
look, there's a difference between education and being smart. Okay, there's a difference between being educated and being smart.
There is.
Okay,
right.
Now.
Please, wait. Black Agenda. You said there's a difference. Don't leave us without an explanation. Explain the difference.
And being smart.
For too. Go ahead.
Explain the difference.
There's a difference between that.
Explain the difference.
Okay, let me explain. We didn't have education like you guys done. We did not. We are smart people. We're not dumb people. But we didn't have the education you guys done. We did like that.
Bro, Black Agenda. Education is relative, bro. Education.
No. Look, there are people who are educated, but they're not smart. There's a difference between education and there's a difference between being smart. Trust me.
So hold on. You telling me
someone can have a PhD. Someone can have
this ain't making no sense, bro. This don't make any sense.
You do realize that in Europe they didn't have education either, right? It's just certain people that had education. The majority of the people didn't have. And the same thing with Africa, bro. You think these people that was running kingdoms, and look, we had multiple empires and kingdoms. At one point, we were like the USA, fam, in West Africa. You know what I'm saying? We have, till this day, we have records of missionaries that went to some of these empires, went to these African countries and said, damn, I've never seen anything this beautiful before.
They said the walls of Benin. The walls of Benin alone.
The people are civilized. You feel me? There's no thieves. You can leave your food. You can leave your doors open, etc. You know what I'm saying? And they were coming from countries that were, just coming out of the Dark Ages.
Look, there's a difference between being educated and there's a difference between being smart.
And look at.
And you still ain't told us the difference. You still ain't told us the difference, bro. You just talk.
Big difference between being educated and being smart. Okay, someone can. There are smart people.
Look at the Benin.
There are smart people who have not stepped their foot in a classroom,
bro.
Very smart.
Okay, so tell us the difference.
Not conform to this Western education. There's a big difference.
Look at the Benin bronzes and tell me if you could find anybody else at that time that was able to create such fucking technological works like
or just no. Hey, let's take it to something that Black Agenda can agree with or he can relate to. Look at the sophistication of the Asante's gold.
Word.
Pre-colonization and how they molded certain objects out of pure gold.
You need to go back to Egypt. You need to go back to Egypt.
What I'm saying is, there's a big difference between being educated and being smart.
No, it's a big difference between being civilized and being savage. That's the difference. We're not talking about education and smartness because you have not given us an example of what education is and what smartness is and how they separate. What you see as education and smartness is really savagery and civilization. You see people in Africa, they had a civilized way of living. People in Europe, because Europe was so small, they didn't have anywhere to run to when they fought other tribes. So they had to stand there, fight, and die or win. So they had to develop crazy technology. Opposed to Africans, if we lost, we could just pack up and move somewhere else. We didn't have to deal with that, but Europeans had a different condition. They're living in an area that's not very, it doesn't grow much food. The seasons are mostly cold. It's mostly cold in Europe.
Can you prove that, sir? Can you prove that?
I can, you can prove it. You can look it up right now.
Can you prove that was the reason why? No, you cannot.
What was the reason why? What do you mean?
You cannot.
These are all reasons why. It's not one reason. These are all reasons.
You have African leaders who are educated in all
what? We
and not smart enough to know that.
What we can say is white people are very, very competitive, and they know how to conquer people. See, that's the difference. You guys talk about all this gold that Benin made and all this other fancy stuff, but what's the use of making all this fancy gold and all this other stuff when you can't keep it?
Okay.
What's the use? What's the use, sir? What's the use? Let me say
Let
me say one thing.
What's your solution?
Why don't you stop? See, and that's the sign of that we lack intelligence.
We have to admit that there is something lacking in us to move forward.
Stop interrupting me, Black Agenda. That's what we cannot even have a panel discussion without each other interrupting each other. Let's have a civilized panel discussion. I'm gonna say this one thing, and then y'all can just go on. But let me say this: if you guys are making $1 million a month, $1 million a month, but I have the ability to come to your house once you get paid at the end of the month and take your $1 million, what use is it of you even going to work the next day?
It didn't happen that subtly, Peso.
It doesn't matter if it happened that
subtly. But that's a bad example. You make it seem like they just showed up to the shores and they just robbed everything in sight, nigga.
Sir, let me tell you something. We're in 2022 right now. I'm willing to bet we won't be alive. Nobody on this panel will be alive. But I bet you in 3000, what's that? 3032. 22. That's 100. That's 100 years from now. What? White people will still be dominating black people because we lack the ability.
So you're going too far, man. What you talking about?
We lack the ability to critically think. And let me tell you something. You come on my channel, I'm gonna give you that work. I'm gonna give you that work all day long.
No, Peso.
I'm gonna give you that work because
people are like to do it for the sake of it is one of them.
Peso land.
You made your point, but listen, the only work you finna come through and give, fam, is just BS, bro. Because you don't got no facts. We need people with sources. We need people with facts. We need people with like real research, fam. You can't just come on. You can't just come on here making wild statements, bro, and then talking about you giving people work. You're not, but all right. So go ahead, man.
Let me ask the person a few questions. Okay, the person. First of all, I want to know. You have, I believe, a Ugandan flag. You also use the word peso, which is the currency used by countries that were colonized by the Spanish. I've been to South America and also in Philippines. They use the peso. Okay, so let me ask you: are you black, and what's your connection with Africa?
No. We know he's black, fam.
He's black. He's black. We know he's black.
This cone is black. This cone is black.
Okay, wait. Okay, wait. Okay, then my follow-up question.
First of all, you
My
worried
follow-up
about
question. Wait a second. My follow-up question.
You worried about a stage
So
name, and you
if
worried
you, the
about me
peso man,
putting
wait a
up a
second.
Cam up,
flag.
peso man. Cam up,
Wait,
fat guy.
the
That's
peso
number
man.
one. That's
Yeah,
number
the peso
one.
man. You wait a second. You said
Number two,
the Africans are not smart. You said Africans. Wait, you said
thinking about
Africans are not smart.
tribalism.
Wait,
Because you
I'm
guys are so
talking.
tribal.
I'm talking. Wait, I'm talking.
Well,
Like,
Bucci, you gotta let him answer the question.
Let me speak.
One mic. Let him
Let me
respond.
speak.
One mic.
Let me
Go ahead,
speak.
Pedro.
Let me speak.
Go ahead, Pedro.
Let me speak.
Go
The
ahead,
peso man,
Pedro.
the peso man. You say
Go ahead, Pedro.
the peso. Wait, let me. No, let me ask.
Golly. Go ahead, Pedro.
No, let him say what he's gonna say because I didn't even catch what he said. Let him go ahead and talk.
He has a couple of questions.
Ask him a question and you're muting me. I want to ask him. Peso man said Africans are not smart. So if he says Africans are not smart, is he an African himself? Is he including himself or is he excluding himself?
Okay,
But he
okay,
said
that's
he's
one
an
question.
This coon is a Negro
Let me answer
peon.
that question.
Man, let Peso answer. Go ahead.
Let me answer that question. Okay, that's the question number one. I meant the black man in general. I consider myself to be African, even though I am African American, born in the U.S. Even though my parents are from two different countries, but I was born in America, so I am an American.
Man, you're not even FBA, man.
I am.
Okay.
I am
Negro peon. Negro peon.
You're not even FBA.
So let me just attack. Yo, let me just
Okay, so
rebuttal
you
one.
I'm assuming
Yo, Mucci, you asked two questions already.
So when I say the African, I mean the black man in general. The
All
black
right,
man
yo,
in general. That's what I mean. The black everybody that has roots from sub-Saharan Africa. I'm not talking.
What the hell is that, peso man? Come up. What is sub-Saharan Africa? What is that? Africa is Africa, nigga. Come up, peso man. Come up.
The 46 countries that are classified to be in sub-Saharan Africa. That's
Hey, guess what? There's black people in Northern Africa too. Africa is Africa.
Peso.
So you said.
Y'all getting. If you want to get technical, we can get technical.
All right, let me just let's talk about what you said though. Let's talk about what you said though. Yo,
the
Peso.
black man. And we can talk about the Arabs too.
Yo, all right, let's talk. Yo, let's talk about something.
White man got their foot on their neck too.
All right, Peso, take this.
In other words, the black man is not very intelligent.
Yo, you said in 3000 something, 3100 or whatever it is. I don't know what you said, but you said in the year 3000, black people won't exist. It's just gonna be white people or something like that. That again, that's why I'm saying, bro. Like you say a lot of stuff.
Sir, you need a hearing aid.
All right, go ahead. What you said?
That.
All right, what you said?
That's what you said.
You said something along the lines.
I said in 32.
This nigga always walking back his comments.
Hold on. Let me repeat myself.
All right, go ahead.
Because apparently you guys.
Go ahead, fam. Go ahead.
I said in 3222. I said 100 years from now. What's that? 100 years from now?
No, that's 1,000 years from now.
He can't even do calculations.
This nigga can't even count, bro, man.
You the lowest IQ man black man I ever seen, man.
Okay. Then we can go 1,000 years from now. We can go 1,000. You want to go 1,000? We can go 1,000 years from now. White people. I'm willing to believe white people will continue to still have their foot on our necks because.
But that's not what you just said. That's not what you just said, though.
We would not be able to critically think.
We might not be here, period. Humans might not be here, period.
And that's my point. And you guys are so silly that y'all get triggered off that instead of trying to find solutions.
So look,
trying
what's your solution? What's your solution, Peso?
Or trying to realize that that's the truth.
Yo, Peso,
first off, you want to try to combat me. You want to try to attack me. You want to try to call me names.
Attack me, you
listen. Because the rhetoric, you're bringing up, is on some BS. Because real talk, fam, because real talk, fam,
I'm not gonna do that.
We already know what's going on when it comes to global population. What's happening?
Nothing you
said. We're gonna move on. We're gonna move on. Joni R, go ahead, Joni. Let's get back on topic. Go ahead, Joni.
Oh, okay. Thank you for having me, Dinus. Greetings, gentlemen. I'm the only woman here. At the Peso Man, I definitely understand your frustration because you're like, we have all these African countries, Caribbean countries, and we're still at the bottom. I think we need to realize that we lost, and how can we move past that? Every race. China, let's say take China for instance. They lost. The whole world invaded them. But what they said to themselves is never again. And they got together. And also China is a monolith. They all look alike. Africans, Caribbeans, we all look different. And the white man, oh, I'm not gonna say the white man, just white supremacy used that against us. It's called brainwash and propaganda. So, and it took us
What do you mean? What
1,000.
do you mean, Johnny? What do you mean we all look different?
The continent of Africa is very diverse. You have
What do you mean that Chinese are monolith?
They all look the same.
They
Chinese,
don't though.
They don't.
Yes,
No,
yes,
they don't.
majority of them look the same.
But we get
That's
a
just
point.
majority of the
Majority
ones
of black
you
men.
see.
Hold on,
It's okay. We get a
let her
point.
finish. Let her finish. Let her finish. Go ahead, Joni. Let her finish. Go ahead,
Okay,
Joni.
if I go to China and I go to the rules area of China, I don't look the same as them. They're automatically gonna know that I'm a foreigner. If you go to different areas in Africa, let's say Ethiopia, they're not the same as sub-Saharan Africans. They look different. What I'm telling you is took 1,500 years for us Africans to get at the bottom, and it might take us 1,500 years to get back at the middle or top. But if you guys argue all the time, it's not going to happen. We need to build a think tank and loyalists. Like I come from the Caribbean and I'm Haitian, and the way we're descending is because of our own problems. It's us. I'm gonna get back to China.
But
China had to kill like millions of people for them to be as a superpower today. They had to go around and kill millions of people that did not agree with them, that wanted democracy, that wanted this, that Israel too. They had to kill all these people that were liberal and say, yo, this is what we're gonna do. We have one agenda. They split up in 4 different things: education, militarize, technology, and finance. We can do it, but this arguing back and forth is very confusing. Like, we just got to get a think tank together. I have black sons. I might be mixed race or whatever, but I have black sons, and I don't want them to go through what they're going through right now. Like, I don't want black men to go through. But when we constant arguing, it's the bickering. I can't stand it.
And I agree with
let
that,
me
man.
say
When I
this
came
one-
on,
let me say
when I
this
came
one
on,
thing.
Let me say
We
this
are
one
not
thing to
savages
piggyback
like
off what
that,
she
so
just
we
said.
cannot kill
Hold
people
on,
like
Black
that.
Agenda. Black Agenda. Let me just say one thing to piggyback off what she said. This is the interesting thing. Look, for example, look at gangs. Look how well organized other ethnic groups gangs are. They have a hierarchy, they have a leadership, they have a chain of command. However, when you get to the black gangs, total chaos, total
Head nigga in charge.
confusion.
Head nigga in
No,
charge. They
yeah,
always
no,
be
no.
in charge.
It was not always like that. They took our structure away from us.
We don't want to hear that bullshit. Excuse my French. We don't want to hear that, dog. We don't want to hear that. You always coming up with excuses.
Larry Hoover in jail, bro. Shut up.
And that's where he needs to be, in jail, because he's stupid.
yo, look, what Peso's doing is exactly what she was just accusing us of doing. You came on here, fam. Just
I'm not accusing you of
No,
anything.
mommy. Just hold on a sec. Just hold on a second.
Thank you.
Hold on a second.
You
Let
too.
me just spit, yo. Let me just land. All right.
Let
Basically,
me, I don't get. You can't say that. You can't say that I accuse you of anything. I didn't accuse nobody of anything.
what was I
said
saying
the
then?
bickering.
All right. So what was I saying?
Bickering.
You don't even know what I was saying. What was I about to say though?
But why would you accuse me and say that I accuse you, the panel? I
You
don't
don't
think
even realize. You don't even realize I was agreeing with what you were saying.
But you said accusing. You could have
Exactly, because you didn't let me finish, yo. I'm saying, didn't you come on here? Didn't you come on here telling everybody like, yo, we got to stop bickering and fighting against each other? That's what I came on here and said as well. Isn't that what you said?
I'm talking directly to you when you said accusing. You could have
Yeah.
used
So I said I was talking about Peso. I was like, yo, bro, you came on here because he came on here calling Africans, majority of Africans, dumb. He clarified he's talking about the black people in general or whatever, the black man in general. And I'm saying what he was doing was pointing fingers at each other. You feel me? He was causing the creation. So I mean, causing the division in here. And so I was agreeing with you, saying that, yo, what she's accusing us of, you're doing what she's accusing us of. You know what I'm saying? But you just didn't let me finish, and you just wanted to get defensive and shit. But I was agreeing with you because I came in here saying the same thing. All right, so forget that. Now I want to talk about the solutions if we can, man. Maybe let's switch the conversation to solutions, because
Go
I
ahead,
don't
AC,
think
man.
we're,
Go ahead. And
yeah.
then we're gonna start closing now. Go ahead. Let me hear the solutions. Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, cool. So one of the solutions that I think that we need to do right now is black folk. Of course, this is the obvious, right? Black folk need to start supporting each other, and because this is one of my viewers pointed something out to me. He was like, the Black Americans' position in America and the Africans' position in the global society is relative. It's connected, right? We're both at the bottom, and it's for a reason. Until Africa starts coming up, the Black American in America won't come up neither. So we need to be able to join the G20, as in, the group of 20 nations that meet up and they discuss the future of, where the world is going. We need to join the G20 at least as the AU. All right. So we need to have the AU brokering trade deals for us, because if we have a small country, for instance, like Lesotho, right, trading or having a trade discussion with a fucking giant like the US or China or Russia or some shit, we already know how that's going to go, right? And that's what's happened in Africa. They came to Africa, they divided it up, chopped it up into small little economies, and these economies have to negotiate trade deals with giants. And y'all already know what happens, right? All you got to do is just look at your own situation over here at home. To get a loan, you got to go to the bank. You got to qualify. You got to be eligible for whatever. The same thing with these countries, right? So we have this whole global structure, bro, that's controlling everything. I'm talking about trade deals, etc. So all right. So one of the just so I'm not rambling, one of the solutions that I'm saying, we got to join the G20. We got to be involved in that. We got to start focusing on manufacturing and industrialization. You feel me? There's this whole propaganda thing going where they're trying to shut down industry in Africa and certain places in the world and shit, using climate change as an excuse. But that's the number one thing. We got to work on manufacturing, because our natural resources has been our number one go-to, and our output has been consistent. All right. But then the economic growth of African nations has been consistently going downwards, because manufacturing has also been going downwards. So that's two solutions right there for the people. I don't know if anybody wants to add anything into it.
All right, let me jump real quick.
I like to go after Al.
Well, no, we'll do another show on solutions. But hey, everyone, thank you so much for joining. Like, share, subscribe. Until next time, Family Dynasty, search for Huru. Peace.
Blessings.